I'm going to hop to the other team and give them the same thing.
It
Okay.
appears that the enemy has focused hard on their left, our right, so we might need to adapt.
See, I look at that and I see the opposite, where they have all 10 of their elephants, which are larger than ours, all on our left.
That is another true fact. So
I think they have a relatively similar idea, but they've gone for no cav on their right and all their cav on their left. But on our left, it means that we have elephants against no elephants, which is what we were looking for.
Hmm.
all right. So
I
any
Oh,
I go ahead. Sorry.
yeah,
uh,
any changes?
I did just want to make sure. I guess is the plan at start. Are we advancing forward to contact?
So it was. I still think we should, but I think the cavalry on our left should move at the pace of our infantry, because you running off ahead, you're going to run into 10 elephants, and that's no good.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. I'll match your pacing then.
Achilles, you are
Yes, sir.
2 lines of phalanxes on our center left. You're the kind of the left half of the infantry block there. So you've
Okay.
got, I think, 12 phalanx blocks and 2 blocks of skirmishers out front.
Hmm.
Um, Zeke is playing a Kecrates off on your left, and I think it's Lake on your right
It
with
is.
the rest of the infantry. I wish we had more cavalry on our right now, because I think that's the only place we're going to have a chance to make any gains, and that's going to be because you have elephants and he doesn't. So I think on the right you still advance, but I think you advance at the pace of your elephants and look to use your elephants against his cav first. Past that, I don't
So,
think we have a lot of options to wiggle around.
okay. So I've got phalanx on our center left, and we are advancing from the start
Yep, very
Yep.
slowly, but
very slowly.
as quickly as your phalanx can. But it's going to be like, oh wow, this is torture.
We're
I would
moving at this.
say
We're moving
Sorry.
at the speed of the phalanx.
Correct. Our
Yeah.
right flank will probably move faster than that.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, our far right flank, the cavalry and elephants on our right flank will move faster than that, and that's okay.
We
Achilles.
have all our cav. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would just suggest that first order be just your entire command moves, just advances. Next turn, give the order for skirmishers to advance forward and engage with the enemy skirmishers.
Hmm.
Just since that's how orders work.
Okay. No problem.
How do you feel about the right, Marshal?
I think they're kind of a little unhinged right now, but if we engage them respectfully, perhaps they'll come around back
hey,
to
hey,
the
you're
middle.
in command of them. Look, this isn't my fault. No,
Hey, hey,
but
hey,
I
I
mean,
take no responsibility for this, guys. Hey, all right.
uh,
Uh,
okay.
um, oh, you mean in the game? I'm sorry.
I do, yes.
I have what,
In
cavalry and elephants, right? Oh, actually, I'd like to
and
see
three
my
infantry. You've
and
got
three.
4 cavalry units,
Mhm.
5 elephants, and 3 units of non-phalanx infantry that are about twice the speed of a phalanx, but not necessarily fast.
How many units of infantry?
3.
Okay. That saves me from having to look it up in Discord. I'm making notes. I opened a tabletop simulator and I'm just drawing as I learn things. All right. So the overall plan of battle is what? Are we just advancing forward in a big line of anger or what?
So yes, but with sorry, I can't speak English. The hope of the deployment is that one of our 2 sides would have an advantage against the other. We split up the elephants because their elephants, the briefing says, counter ours. Ours are scared of their elephants, so we wanted to split them into 2 groups so that one of those 2 groups would not run into enemy elephants. And it looks like that worked, and that worked on your side. So your side has elephants to fight enemy cavalry with no enemy elephants that can come and counter you. It does mean that our left is in kind of a rough spot. So you kind of have to win on the right. And I
Okay.
think you do that by getting the elephants into his cav.
All right. So that makes me the arm of decision, and my goal is to get his cavalry, neutralize his
Yep.
cavalry with my elephants.
Yep.
All right. Now the problem is cavalry moves a lot faster than an
While
elephant.
preventing his skirmishers from throwing lots of lots of spears into your elephants.
That is true.
Yeah.
Because that's what kills elephants. Is skirmishers.
All right. So then
Guys
I
who
want to.
throw pointed sticks.
Yeah.
They're ancient foe.
So I'm going to use my cavalry perhaps first, then to counter any skirmishers. And then the infantry, of course, will support the elephants. Now, at what pace do you want me to move? Do you want me to stay on line with the line? Or do you want me to
No.
go ahead or what?
I would have you move at the speed of your infantry, which in James's system, your infantry are speed 2, the phalanx is speed 1.
Okay, so
He'll
you want
probably,
me to move out ahead and make contact first? Because
yep,
that's the
yeah,
result going to be.
yep, you can use your discretion to avoid engaging enemy infantry,
Oh,
but if
Lord.
you're engaging enemy cavalry, there's no reason for you to wait for the phalanx.
I'm worried about getting out there too far, getting unsupported, and being defeated in detail before the phalanx comes up.
Okay, then if you get there and you want to go slow, you can go slow, no problem. But I don't think that the phalanx is gonna be able to like move up and help you, because it's so slow compared to the other units in the army. It's a fifth the speed of your slowest cavalry.
Yeah, I almost think we might need to be a little more patient and slow and arrive more or less together. Just because if I go out there and I'm unsupported, they're going to destroy my formation, and then it'll just be a battle when you do get there. But my formation, which is the arm of decision here, is not going to be effective, whereas they will
That is a good.
still have theirs.
That is a good point. I think maybe initially we move all together, and then once we get a bit closer, we can move in as the plan originally dictated.
All right, at least get the elephants. Sure, I would at least get the elephants farther ahead of your cavalry. If you see skirmishers, you can pull them back. Um, but I don't think we're gonna have infinite time. So the more time we can spend with those elephants into enemy cav, I think the better off we'll be. If you really feel that you need to move at the speed of a phalanx, I won't veto it.
Because what we could do is move together at the start, and then you just issue me a signal or an order, which would use up one of your orders. But if everybody else is moving together, you have the spare order to issue, at which point then I would proceed ahead at whatever speed you tell me. You just tell me what speed you want the various elements to move at.
Okay. All right. Fine. That works.
So, man. All right. So my instinct here is to move more or less together, at least up to maybe halfway, give or take, which means we should do completely the opposite of that.
um,
You,
other
you,
thing I
you,
wanted to say.
go ahead.
Sure. Let me move on to the left for just a second. If you're not dramatically opposed to it, Achilles, I think I'd like the first turn we have to just advance, and you and I are together, so maybe we can give 2 orders. But we have to get the ball rolling to advance. But if we can get the 2 skirmishers you have to the front left of your formation instead of the front center, they may have opportunities to throw shit at elephants in the next couple turns, because they're all going to be immediately on your left, or ahead left.
Yeah, oh, wait.
If you guys are marching together and your order economy
Yeah, I
doesn't
like
o-
that. I like that idea. That I think bringing bringing down the elephants obviously is the first phase to victory here. So
Yep. You may also have to deploy some of your second line out farther to your left,
mhm,
and that's totally up to you, and when to do it is up to you. But they have
Mhm.
all of their elephants over there, and if they're fighting only cav and elephants, things that they counter, we might not have the best time.
so if I understand, um, what you're saying is when we first move out, we that first turn we move straight ahead the whole formation, and
Because we're
then
limited to giving 1 order, we kind of have to. It might be
right.
the case that since there's 2 human players there, we can give 2 separate orders. So I can say, hey, the skirmishers will do this, and you can say the phalanx formation will do this, and that might be okay. But if it were just you, you wouldn't be able to be that granular.
Okay. And then after that, you want to shift skirmisher line slightly to the left
Yeah, to the as far left as it'll go and still be, you know, in
on the map.
your zone of control. The intent is that you
Yeah.
get it to throw at elephants on their left. Yeah, as they come
Mhm.
in to fight Zeke.
All right.
All right.
Coming
So
into this, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if your action economy does not allow you to send me an order, but you're traveling together with Achilles, he can issue an order to me and I will obey.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
Because
if
that
I
way it
die, I
doesn't
won't be
cost
able.
you. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that should be okay. But the good news is because Achilles is here, I don't have any troops to control, which makes me delightfully happy. So I can wander around and write letters.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Not that I think we need to as much as a Napoleonic battle, but it's still
Sure.
better.
Yes.
I
Coming
have
in,
a question about how long is or do we expect this to go?
I'm gonna guess 3 hours. The first time we
Oh,
played Raphia, it was 3 hours, but then it was a Thursday night game, and they're all 3 hours.
okay, that would be perfect. All right.
He did say
At a
somewhere that he had a hard out at 1 Eastern. I don't know that
okay.
it'll necessarily go that long, but it will not go past that.
All right. Yeah. I was thinking, yeah, I probably got about 4.5 hours if I stretch it. So
Cool. Yeah,
my
I
wife
don't have.
discovered that she gets the day off. So
heading into this today, I was anxious, not really, not thinking we would be able to win this, but now seeing the deployment and our plans, I think we have this in the bag now.
I don't know about that. I just feel like with ancients, sometimes you're deploying stuff and then you're pushing your blocks together.
Yeah. I guess I should rephrase that. I feel more confident in our abilities now.
Yeah,
well,
they'll blunder.
that was your first mistake.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, that was your second mistake. Your first mistake was you gave the elephants.
All right. It looks like we are now on our own. Okay, let's go to our little deployment chart here. Let's see here. Most of both lines appear to be phalanxes with skirmishers kind of out in front. I believe we have some skirmishers here and here as well. I'm not so certain about these. Why don't I erase that because I don't know. But I do know that the skirmishers are going to be shifting this way at some point. And our initial plan is to eliminate the elephants on our left, enemy right. And then doing so should allow the line to engage and keep the fight more or less even or fair across the line. Whereas I have a complicated situation. I have to use my cavalry to clear off enemy skirmishers, like so, more or less, one way or the other. And then I use my elephants to essentially destroy the line. And I do have a formation of 3 light infantry. Let's see here. I could erase this.
Hello, Marshall. Or
Hello,
do you
sir.
need? Give me 1 second. I'll share my screen. You should have an invite to see. Let me know when you can see it.
There it is. There it is. I see it.
All
Okay.
right.
It looks like me. And who is riding on top of me?
I believe you're the one on top, and that is your horse, which is
Oh,
named.
oh,
So
that's refreshing.
here's you are in your right wing. You got your elephants, backed by the Thracian and Gaul medium infantry. Then your household cavalry, your Korak cavalry, and some Libyan light cavalry. Here on the right wing of your line, and ahead of you, you can see the Selucid left wing. Looks like they have some cavalry and some light infantry ahead of you.
Okay, and I don't think I see any skirmishers out there, right?
Nope.
Okay, we will proceed at the same pace as the rest of the line for now.
Okay. You got it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so we've got some more information here on the baddies. We know, of course, that they have a substantial cavalry formation there. And then the rest are infantry. There's no skirmishers there. So that solves this dilemma. And our infantry is technically medium. So we're just going to do that. And I think it's three units of medium. All right, so there we go. That's what we have going on. So I'm kind of optimistic, but let's see how this develops. I have a temptation to get a little silly with one of my cavalry units, like kind of throw them out for a bit and then have them come back in, just to see what it does to their line. But I don't really have orders to do anything like that, and I'm not sure that it would actually benefit us just yet. So for now, I think I'm going to just stick with the plan. Stay in the box. Everybody wants to be outside the box, think outside the box. But there's actually a lot of value to just stay in the damn box. So let's consider that. All right. So now we just wait a few minutes for the result so that people know what's going on. This is an ancients battle, and I don't have a proper setup. There's no module for this battle, so we're just kind of drawing it as we go. This is part of the Kriegsspiel Cup, and the Kriegsspiel Cup was an idea by Miles from Little Wars TV. And basically, he wants to establish an annual Kriegsspiel Championship game uh, that is played between different organizations that do wargaming, Kriegsspiel in particular, but it can also just be miniature wargaming and so on. And the thinking is we have a few preliminary battles to determine two finalists, and then the two finalists meet somewhere and play a final game to determine who wins the Kriegsspiel Cup for the year. I think he's actually already had a trophy made for the award. I have not looked at it or seen it yet, but I know he had mentioned that. So it will be interesting. This year's Kriegsspiel Cup will be played at Little Wars TV's headquarters in July. I think July 16th or something like that. Um, I'm I've been hoping to be able to attend, but I'm skeptical. I'm going on a cruise and such around that time. And what else do I have going on? And of course, I have to pay for that on top of everything else. So I live in California, so I would be traveling 3,000 miles by myself, unattended, no adult supervision, um, to some place probably like Baltimore, where I would have to rent a car and drive to, I think, what, York or something, Pennsylvania, wherever. And then, oh gosh, I would have to, yeah, fight a battle and win. Yeah, I don't know. Be tough. The travel doesn't appeal to me. All right, anyway, this is a recording. It's not a live stream, but I am recording this to post to our YouTube channel later. Obviously, right now there is the live stream, which I cannot view because I am a player. Hopefully, folks are enjoying that live stream. But you'll all be able to see my perspective of the battle, which apparently is going to be the most interesting perspective because, as we pointed out, I'm the arm of decision. So that everybody understands the shorthand, we have the bad guys in red, and they're deployed in two lines, mostly phalanxes. The E is for elephants, the S is for skirmishers, the C is for cavalry. Likewise, we have two lines, more or less, with skirmishers out front. We have cavalry under my command, four formations of cavalry. We have five elephants and three medium infantry. One of the things I just realized I should correct is the position of the elephants, because our elephants are actually here. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, you have an interest in ancient warfare, and you understand quite clearly that elephants are basically like tanks. In a way, they're sort of the armored fist of the period. The logic here, or my instructions, is to use our elephants against the cavalry. Use cavalry, of course, to screen versus the enemy cavalry and skirmishers. So our cavalry are the screen, our elephants are the arm of decision, and I have medium infantry in support. What I can see now that I need to do is I need to switch the lanes. I need to move my elephants over so that my cavalry can ride ahead and screen. So I don't think that's an illogical deployment. So right now we are moving together as one line. We don't want to give away too much game just yet. But at a certain point, we are going to want to switch these lanes. Move the elephants to the far right. Move the cavalry forward, probably even ahead of the elephants. And continue marching with the medium infantry in close support behind them. It would be nice if we had some kind of skirmish support or something here on the right, but so we don't.
Oh, I'm already here.
All
Sounds
right,
good.
boss.
All right. So you give the word, and your wing advances in conjunction with the main phalanx line, keeping pace with them. Very nice leisurely pace because the phalanx moves slow. Um, so your whole army is basically advancing as one. On the Selucid side, their line is not moving. Their wing in front of you does not change. Their phalanx line's holding. The only movement you see is elephants far down the way are moving up. That's it.
All right. Um, there's a little bit of scale that's lost in TTS screenshots here. The question that I have is about how many turns at current speed do we have before we can expect contact? Roughly. I don't expect precision.
If they don't move and you keep this pace,
Yeah.
I think
And
it's going to be, if they don't move, it's about 6 or 7 turns before you make contact.
okay, because at some point I'm going to have to shift my elephants to the right and I have to time that.
Yeah.
So I want to do
Yeah.
it soon enough, but not too late enough. So I don't know how long it takes like my elephants to kind of move over to the right without crushing everything along the way.
Yeah. You still got a little bit of time, especially if they're not going to move up either.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll hold off on making that big play there for another turn. We'll continue as before. Same pace as
Yeah.
the arm.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, folks understand what's going on there. We do have to um, move, right? And because this is obviously abstract rather than real, and I have no experience as a Macedonian general, I need to maneuver my forces in a timely fashion, but I don't know what that timely fashion is. So that therefore, I had to ask the question, you know, how much time do I have in terms of action economy, and then how long is it going to take me to perform the action I need to perform, so that I can time everything correctly. It is interesting that they are not moving. I think that indicates uncertainty on their part. And I also think, more importantly, it puts us into the initiative. It yields us the initiative, because now they're forced to react to us because we're the dynamic force, whereas they're the static one, and that's something that you want. Their elephants did maneuver. I think he said they advanced, so they came out a little bit out front at least. And that's just to me that they're either trying to provoke or bait action, or they're getting ready to maneuver. They're doing something over here. However, as I understand, we have a pretty good plan. Uh, we're going to engage the elephants on the left and then clear them off, and then it's just going to be a big scrum in the middle, if that's the right word, I think. Um, so I don't see anything that gives me concern. From their perspective, they are certainly watching us advance and probably wondering what is our plan. Because right now, all we're doing is consuming time. We're closing the distance, but they do not see us making any dynamic moves. So we're not exactly showing to them that we're going to go center, right, or left with our strategy. They may be able to infer from our deployments, but we've got stuff on both sides, I think, including elephants. I do think that our left had skirmishers on the left. I think we were configured for a likely punch on the left, but that punch is now somewhat neutralized by the presence of enemy elephants on our left. One of the concerns is that they have an advantage on their elephants, in that our elephants and their elephants are of different origins. I think Asian and African or something. And the end result is that our elephants are afraid of theirs. They're scared of them. So if their elephants come against ours, let's say, ours may run off. And that would not be good. So it is important, therefore, that we neutralize this element and that we screen them with the cavalry. But there are many threats to the elephants, light infantry, and so on. Soldiers that can get in there, move quick to avoid their big lumbering feet, but also stab at them. So you don't even have to kill them; they just have to drive them off, cause injury or pain. That's the thing with living creatures. If you inflict injury or pain or fear, that creature becomes hard to control and is no longer an effective element in combat, obviously. All right. James will appear in a minute. When he does, I'll try to capture a screenshot so that we can look at something besides this white table here. And obviously, we have to assume these lines are a little closer, but it probably does not pay to redraw this every turn. However, at some point, yes, I will erase and redraw. What I could do is record the distance. That pretty teal color. Teal. All right, my chicken scratch here. Sorry. I'm writing with the mouse. Look at that terrible DI drew. Still, it's only slightly better. I'm going to put down 6 turns.
All right, Dionysius.
All right.
Getting into the right view.
Okay.
So, so your wing continues to advancing, keeping pace with the enemy line, or sorry, your ally, your own line. As you look across the battlefield, you can see the enemy elephants pulling ahead. Looks like some skirmishers on your side are racing forward to start to engage, and then the enemy line is advancing now, pretty much keeping pace with each other, except for the elephants, as I mentioned. But they are marching toward you. So that 6 turn time limit is now more like 3 or 4, since both sides are closing in on each other.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I need to move the elephants to my right flank.
Okay, so they're going to go to the right of that cavalry.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll go to the right of the cavalry. Actually, move them to the right of the infantry and put the cavalry in front of all the elephants. So it'll be cavalry, elephants, and then to the left are infantry.
So they'll go.
The elephants are just going to go a little to the right, to my right, and the cavalry might have to come a little to the left, but they're going to go out in front of the elephants and screen them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So, okay, good luck. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead. It's time to redraw. So we're going to redraw our little map here. Oop, I didn't need to erase that. We're going to put it down to 3 turns. And why did we go from 6 to 3? Because the enemy is now moving. We're moving at each other, so that halves the time that we have. Now let's grab our blue and let's go ahead and erase everything. Not concerned about our skirmishers or their elephants any longer at this time. I don't have time, I don't have the luxury of concerning myself with all that. So we're going to erase all of this. So the enemy is advancing. So we will draw our lines. Okay, and our line is going to be a little shorter now because of the way I have rearranged it. And we're going to have my elephants here on the right. Oop. There we go. Okay. And there's 5 of those characters. And then I'm going to have the cavalry out front. There are 4 of those characters. And then here we have our medium infantry. And I think there were 3 of them. Oh, yeah, I know there were 3 of them. All right. So, what I think we're going to end up doing is sending the cavalry forward. I'll probably receive an order here momentarily, and then we'll be swinging the elephants around like so into the enemy flank. But the medium infantry needs to stay close behind them to support them. It's pretty important as well. So let's take a look at our screenshot. Here's our screenshot right here. Enemy cavalry, enemy infantry. Here are their phalanx. These are the bad guys. But the thing with the bad dudes is they're really only good in one direction. Unfortunately, that's not these. These guys probably counter us fairly effectively in terms of infantry. My infantry and their infantry, it's kind of a wash. But the cavalry will screen out these guys, and then the elephants will come smash in. I think we're kind of in good shape looking at this. I'm very encouraged because I believe we outnumber their cavalry. And the medium infantry versus my medium infantry is more or less going to cancel each other out. But the impact of the additional cavalry and elephants should provide the weight we need to eliminate this. Then it just comes down to what do I have left over? And whatever I have left over will hopefully be able to start rolling up or interfering with this phalanx here. And if we can break some of these phalanxes, then the enemy will begin to, his line will break. So I think that's what we want to do. So we want our medium infantry here, want our cavalry here, then we want our elephants to go around this way. And I'm starting to wonder if we do need the medium infantry behind the elephants. I'm thinking we might not. If I were to redraw this so it's a little bit more accurate. Let's see here. The plan is for the cavalry, which is kind of out front. So let's draw them here. Is going here. Their real orders as of now are to screen. The elephants, which are behind them, their orders are to punch around like so. And then I have my medium infantry. And originally, my plan was for them to follow the elephants. Actually, that's not the right way to draw the line. It's going to be something like so. But I think we should just have them like this. I don't know. What do you guys think? Since this is a recording and it's not live streamed, I cannot solicit the hive mind. It probably wouldn't be fair either. So we're just you're gonna have to imagine that you're all nodding your head in solemn agreement with my genius plan. All right. Of course, some of you are just shaking your head, I know. All right. Let's close that out. Let's wait and see. If we edit this, we have medium infantry going here. All right, all that's happening. Those skirmishers, I need to pay attention to them. I think I almost, with 4 cavalry formations, I could get a little crazy here and send 1 like so to sweep skirmishers. I'm going to have to look at that. Gonna have to look at that. Because I don't know where they're at. If their skirmishers have come over here, let's say, I could still do it, but it becomes a stretch after a minute. And it has to also be understood that once you commit a unit, it's gone. It's out of your hands. It's over. You know, it's like playing a card. You've made your play, you win the book or the trick, or you don't, and then that's it, you know? So it's like that. You make the play, it's either effective or not, but either way, you lose that element. You spent it. So we want to make sure if we're going to spend a unit, we spend it on something worthwhile. We're playing kind of in an open desert field. There's no evidence that they've got anything concealed or hidden or anything fancy going on. I think everything's kind of out there on display for both sides. So I think if I start getting dynamic and force them to react, that will generate an advantage which we can kind of snowball into victory.
Oh, it looks like Ptolemy's with you. Hold on, let me move.
All right.
Ptolemy's here.
I do have
Right.
a quick question. Are we the baddies? I mean, we've got a philosopher commanding us.
That's up to you to decide.
It's just a thought, you know?
All right, Ptolemy's here with you. I'm sharing my screen. Your elephants move off to the right. Your cavalry are in the process of moving to the left. Oh wait, oh shoot, I just remembered you on the cavalry in front of the elephants.
Yes.
They're still working on that. And then
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
infantry's
It is what it
waiting.
is.
Yeah, it is.
Make no
Infantry's
mistake.
waiting for them. Your cavalry commander got confused.
Uh-huh.
Enemy continues to advance, but not, at least on the left wing, not pulling ahead of their phalanx line. And as you look down the center, it looks like skirmishers are advancing and engaging. It looks like the enemy elephants have charged forward and are, it's kind of hard to see from all the way over here, but charging forward across the way on
Okay,
your
I'd
side.
like to look my front again, real quick?
Yep. Here's your front.
And how many cavalry formations can I make out to my front?
One. Is
Okay,
that one?
perfect. I'd like to detach one of my cavalry formations to sweep the skirmishers in the center. Their orders are
Okay.
to sweep the skirmishers and then ride around behind the line and return to me if able, although they are free to operate on their own recognizance. Because I
So
am
you're
of the
sending.
opinion that when you commit a unit, it's gone, it's played. But I would like to
Only,
sweep those
Sold.
skirmishers from the center.
only thing I would say is don't send the household heavy cavalry to do that because they're the best unit in the army.
Yeah, I'll just send the least of my formation, whatever that may be.
You want the Libyan
Sure.
skirmishers? Okay.
Yeah, but they're to actually close with the skirmishers and drive them off. Don't stand as a giant target and get pelted. Just literally charge them, drive them,
Okay.
run
Well,
them
Uh,
Marshall,
over.
ta-
while there's a second human here, is there any other like rearrangement or second order that you would give?
Um, Not unless you want me to give a second order.
No, I don't particularly, but I know that because you're limited to one,
Yeah.
I can play back up. I don't have any other orders I want to micromanage. I want to talk to you, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm good to go.
Okay. Um, once after the turn, I'm gonna ride down to the left to Sisybius, to the center left.
oh,
Uh,
so
oh. Off to Sisybius. Your
Can you give me 60 seconds to talk to Marshall before you
yes,
abduct me?
yeah. Well, I'll give you 60 seconds. I'm moving you right now, but
Oh, cool. That's fine. Awesome.
you can talk.
So, the enemy elephants deployed opposite our leftmost phalanx, not our leftmost cavalry, and they are charging directly ahead into a double line of phalanx pikemen. So we're kind of just letting them down there. But it means I think they have more cavalry than I thought on their right and fewer down here opposite you. So once you're set up, if you want to attack their cavalry, I would encourage it. Because I don't think they have any cavalry reserves to send you. 3 more showed up on our left.
Very well. Yeah, my plan is to use the cavalry to counter their cavalry and screen. Medium infantry will engage with their infantry, and the elephants will then swing in and begin rolling up the line on our right, their left.
I think that is beautiful, and I love it, and I'm not needed here, so I'm going to go back to the left.
All right. Good luck, philosopher.
Thank you very much. I'm going to use this opportunity to refill my coffee. So if
Well, that's what powers philosophy is coffee. It's the fuel of philosophy.
all right, thank you, sir.
All right. That's why so much philosophy happens in coffee shops. All right, folks. You learn something new every day. I bet none of you knew that coffee powers philosophy, and philosophy happens in coffee shops for that reason. All right. Okay, so we did commit one cavalry formation versus their skirmishers who have come out front. Now, those skirmishers could be bait, but I think we can afford the expenditure. And again, the idea is to keep them reacting to us, not us reacting to them. We want to be the dynamic force here. However, the moves do have to be intelligent and calculated. You don't want to move for the sake of moving, but you want to put them in a situation where they have to react to us. So, in the movie in my head, these guys, the skirmishers, will be routed or destroyed. My cavalry, ideally, drives off the skirmishers and then returns. But that's probably a fantasy. That's probably pretty unlikely. So,
Hey, we're still alive.
Hey, yeah, we're still here. Yeah, I had a fantasy about sending a cavalry unit to drive off those skirmishers that are out there.
I'm here for it.
Hmm. Not that they can do that much harm, but if they're gonna sacrifice that unit,
Right? I had a chess coach tell me take stuff for free.
yeah.
So take stuff for free.
Well, I don't know. It's free. It costs me a cavalry unit, but
It
it's
might be a
pretty
trap,
cheap.
right?
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. We're getting it at yard sale prices here, folks. All right. Too bad about our cavalry not getting out in front of the elephants, but hopefully they can make it this turn. I like the way that the umpires kind of screwed that up, and we just have to live with it. That's part of the fun of Kriegsspiel, is you don't have perfect control over your units. Sometimes the umpires, who are humans, make mistakes just as your subordinates would in real life. And, well, as a commander, here's a new problem to solve. Good luck. It's perfect. McPanzer, do you know anything about the people we're playing against?
I I think that they're members of the Little Wars TV Discord, so I think they're their Patreons and extended community.
Hmm.
But I don't know that.
Well, because they have like a group name or something, so I thought they did. Can't remember.
The the embarrassing part is I am one of their patrons. I could be in there. I've just never gone to the trouble to figure out how. I just like watching the early videos.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're Team IKS. We're real war gamers here.
Ride or die. Although I won't talk about my doll habit with you. But other than that, it's IKS ride or die.
Oh, I love it. Blocks versus miniatures, the great rivalry of the century. It's
Porque no
people's
los dos.
yeah, it's
I have
people's front of Judea versus Judean people's front level.
exactly. I'm not in as many games as I used to be, but I'm in a half dozen. But then I also have an 8x4 table in my basement.
There you go. You don't have basements in California.
I'm not sure we should have basements on Long Island, but we do.
On an island?
It's Long Island in New
Oh,
York, but
yeah.
but technically yes.
Yeah. Well, I live on the coast in California. We have earthquakes. I was visiting the San Andreas Fault yesterday. Literally. My son wanted to see it. So, like, all right, I'll show you where you can see where the creek is shifted and everything. So,
Didn't they learn something new very recently out there? I thought I saw something. Maybe
um,
it wasn't the San Andreas. There was something tectonic.
oh, yeah, I don't know that California has ever learned anything new in the past 30 years, but um, as far as the science of earthquakes goes, I don't know. I haven't heard it. We do have an early warning system for earthquakes now, which is nice. You can get several seconds of warning before shaking starts if you're far enough away. So,
We were in Monterey when I was a kid for 3 years, and I
uh-huh.
remember we would get like short quakes, like just tremors.
Yeah.
But I remember being struck. I was like 9 years old, but with like how blasé everybody was about it. They're like, "Yeah, it's another earthquake," and I'm like, "Guys, the earth is shaking. Why does no one care?"
Yeah. Well, everything moves. Everything moves. Like things that like aren't supposed to move start moving. That's the fun part about it. But yeah, they're never more than a few seconds. Like by the time you're like, oh, I think we're having an earthquake, it's kind of coming to an end usually. You get that jolt that gets everyone's attention, and then it's like, oh, okay, that was it. So it always just kind of starts out like you start seeing things kind of move, and you're like, what is that? And then you get the jolt, you'll hear all the noise of everything moving, and then it just stops. Like, oh, okay, that was an earthquake. Cool. So, all right. Our commander has been removed from the room. Those of you watching from California, you know how it works. So, what fun. I would say we don't have tornadoes, but we do. Uh, I think it was over a year ago now. We had a tornado touch down for like 10 seconds, tore up some tree branches or something in a community about 10 miles from where I live. And then right close to where I live, within a few miles, there was a tornado on radar, but nobody ever saw anything. And when we have tornadoes in California, it's like the wind's blowing. It's they're nothing. They're nothing. We get proper Santa Ana winds and stuff that are far more dangerous and intense. So not scared of tornadoes here. How did you know if anyone has ever been killed or hurt in a California tornado? As far as I know, we just don't have the conditions. We have you know, we get water spouts off the coast and stuff. I've never seen one, but we get 'em. Even though I live at the beach, never seen a water spout. Right, not a big deal.
Dionysius.
All
Very
right,
nice.
here we are. Let me. Oh, I need to pull up the recording. I'm trying to pull it
You good?
up. No, 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 no. We don't want that. We want this one. Sorry, I almost opened the wrong one. All right, I'm good.
All right. So I moved you back kind of in front to see things. I'm not sure that, but
Okay.
so your Libyans are taking off. Of course, they're at the far right, so now they're heading towards the center. In the meantime, your Ephkori cavalry have turned and are now moved in front of the elephants. The elephants are more on the right, as you wanted, with the infantry coming up in the rear. The enemy, you can see actually two units of Tarantine cavalry, one behind the other now. Um, and then now that you're a lot closer, the Arab warband. Both phalanx lines are continuing to converge, and there are sounds of battle far off to the other end of the line, but can't really see that now.
All right. I want my medium infantry to move up into well, more or less stay in line, but they can move out a little ahead. But they're to engage with the Arab warband and continue to keep the cavalry in front, and the elephants will begin to swing out to the right and into the left. Am I allowed to give? Is that too many orders?
That's too many. So you could say, so everyone's generally advancing now. So you could say infantry pull ahead of the cavalry, or you can say elephants move to the right, or but not all of that.
Um, yeah, elephants move to the right.
Okay. So
No
right of the
more to the
cavalry,
left.
just on the
Yeah,
far flank.
yeah.
Yeah. You got it.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, that's right. That's one of the command and control limitations of this game is the limitation on orders. which I think is brilliant. Makes you really think. And again, the action economy, very important. So we're going to begin executing this move here. I do believe we're down to one, maybe two turns tops. But I don't think I need to give an order for the other stuff. The cavalry will naturally clash with the cavalry. The infantry will naturally clash with the infantry because they're lined up. They're set up to do that. It's the elephants that we need to move around to the right here and have them smash into that flank. So I think we'll overmatch. I think the medium infantry, because they're actually proper troops versus what appear to be warband, which is really just a mob. We should have an advantage there. Cavalry, we have the weight of numbers 3-2, and then elephants, of course, are the big bonus. I think we've got this, barring some misfortune or surprise. Good morning, Esnes. Good morning, Esnes. Oh, I didn't hear you. All right. All right, we're just standing by, waiting for the next update. We are at the portion of the game where we start making big moves. So the move that we've made is to move the elephants around to our right flank. Well, they'll be able to come on in. The big question really is, where do we actually commit them? And I'm starting to have the notion we can use them to drive in enemy phalanxes if we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, which I think we're good. So I think with the elephants going around to the right, the next order should be cavalry to engage, to screen and protect from their cavalry, because they may have the idea that their cavalry can get at our elephants, and we're not going to allow that. So elephants to the right, and then cavalry, because that's it. Once the cavalry joins battle, the elephants will go around to the rear. That'll be my final big order, actually. Medium infantry will then go in at the Arab warband. Actually, I almost wonder if I need to engage that warband first, if the warband are considered effective against elephants. And the whole rock, paper, scissors logic of how this type of warfare may have worked, as taught to us by the wise historians of the Total War franchise. Light infantry can do bad things to elephants. How realistic is that? I don't know, but that might be the rule in this game. So there are some folks who take the Total War franchise as gospel. It's amazing how in Kriegsspiel we have to train some of this stuff out of players. Of course, if Red wanted to win this battle, they should have lined up here in this corner and just defended this corner, creating an impregnable line that nobody can ever outflank because of the map edges. It's a great way to win a tough battle in Total War. But unfortunately, it's Kriegsspiel, my friends. Everything's a flank. It's remarkable how many people don't think three-dimensionally, and especially in modern warfare. They don't realize that the sky is also a flank. And even the subterranean realm, especially in static warfare, can be a flank if you get undermined or something. Yeah, you gotta really think. All right, the game will slow down since we'll be engaging in combat on this turn. So it's typical. Umpires have a much greater workload. It's like your computer. When you're playing a game and the action starts, your computer has to work a lot harder to process all the graphics and the data involved in the action of the game that you're playing. So you hear your computer ramp up as your graphics card and your cooling unit go to work. Same thing here. Let's see here, video. Capture device. Okay, that turns it on. On recording. There it is. Hello. All right. All right. So when the umpire pops in, I'll have one question, which will be how effective are enemy warband versus cavalry and elephants? I need to know what counters them so I can counter them. I would like to maintain my cavalry advantage, my 3-2 cavalry advantage, versus enemy cavalry, just to kind of ensure that that goes my way. But I would imagine that warband are pretty quick. They don't have to worry about maintaining a formation. All right, and here's the umpire. Hello, James.
Here's the umpire. All right, we're back.
James, a couple questions for you, or one big one, I suppose. How effective are enemy warband versus elephants?
So they're light skirmish cavalry, so they would be fairly effective as anything can be because they would be loose formation and lobbing arrows and javelins.
That's the warband, right? They're not
Yeah,
they're
those,
not mounted. Yeah, okay.
yeah. So
Okay.
their cavalry would not be very effective against your elephants. Um,
Okay. And how do they do against it's my cavalry? Would my cavalry have a pretty distinct advantage or not?
I mean, this is your elite. I don't know if they're heavy, but they're your elite cavalry. So versus the Tarentines, you would think that you have a bit of an advantage, just cavalry on cavalry. Plus, you have more than them.
Okay.
So you got your cavalry's nice and formed up, infantry behind, elephants on the right flank as ordered. The enemy has not really moved, although the Arabs are lobbing or firing arrows and javelins, mostly arrows actually at this range, into your cavalry with some casualties starting to occur. You mostly lost sight of the Libyans as they charged into the middle.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going on down there? But the both phalanx lines are close to converging and engaging, and that's it.
All right. Cavalry attack enemy cavalry.
Okay,
So, okay.
got it.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and neutralize their cavalry now, and then we're going to rely on the infantry to kind of do infantry things. And the next order, I think, is going to be for the elephants to go in. So I think we can erase this text because we're there now. We're there. And I think we can redraw our stuff. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, so let's begin with our lines. Actually, you can probably just redraw everything in the middle. So we'll go ahead and draw our lines first. Do that. Okay, our line is a little shorter. No big deal. I know it's not perfectly perpendicular or straight. I know that's going to offend some folks' OCD. I'm so sorry. I kind of want to get this drawn out. All right. They're not really much longer than we are on our flank anyway. All right. So, enemy cavalry is here. and light infantry is here. Oh, we need 2 counters. I think he has 3 of light and 2 of cavalry. Now, I have medium infantry of 3. Keep it consistent here, I suppose. All right. So that's going to favor me. I have cavalry of 3. So here, quality favors me. Here, numbers favors me. And then I have elephants, of which I have 5. All right. So the order has been given to deal with them. Now that means all this stuff is canceled. Probably not be able to give another order to my cavalry. If I can, it would be to swing into the enemy infantry. Or maybe they'll do it naturally. But at this point, we're committed. We'll commit here, I believe, automatically. So now the question becomes, what do you do with the elephants? And I think this is the order here. The elephants are to swing around and strike the enemy from the rear and roll up their line. I don't know how much roll up their line is going to work, but that's basically it. They're going in. And that'll be the last significant order I give, because after that, it just happens. So check this here, looking good. Yeah, looks like the umpires are at work. Yeah, things are getting pretty simple at this point in the battle. Well, I hope things are going well for us on the left. As long as we are holding, we should be in good shape. I don't know what their strategy is elsewhere along the line, but from my perspective on the right, things are pretty favorable for us. Of course, that could mean they put all their power or energy or whatever into the middle or the flank, and I could be winning on the right while we are losing on the center or the left. But given the quality and caliber of our players, uh, and I think the overall arrangement of our forces, I think we should be fine. With most things kind of being equal or a wash, which means that where I have the advantage, it should pay off. So I do wonder if I should have sent one of those cavalry at the light infantry, but kind of want to play fair too. I don't want to get too gamey, too micromanagey. All right. Still don't see the umpires out. This is, of course, because the game is slowed down due to all of the combat. I don't know how sticky. I mean, the combat's certainly very sticky, so I can't say that. And when I say sticky, it means that when units are engaged, they stay engaged, and they'll probably remain engaged for an extended period. Unlike Napoleonic combat, where a unit could fire off all their ammunition in 5 to 10 minutes, and they don't want to stay engaged. This is different. Um, and once you commit a unit or send a unit in, it's spent, it's used, but they'll stay in a state of combat for a somewhat extended period. I'm not talking an hour, but certainly more than 5 minutes, perhaps. Multiple turns of a game. So, given that, okay, the umpires are coming out to the players now, so reports are imminent. Given that, then, they're moving quick. We just need to. I forgot what I was going to say now, but we do need to give our elephants orders, and let's see what happens. All right, here we are.
Go.
All right.
Big moves time.
I don't know. Maybe in a couple more turns.
All right, it happened. All right, your cavalry has charged the enemy cavalry and engaged heavily melee combat. The enemy warband, um, they're mostly holding position, lobbing their ranged fire into the flank of your cavalry, and a little bit to your Thracians and Gauls who've advanced and are now in range. Your elite household cavalry are kind of holding up the rear in reserve, and your elephants are still moving forward on the right, not engaged yet. Of course, you're in the midst of it, having led your cavalry forward. The two phalanx lines are the Selucid line has stopped advancing. Your own line's still moving forward, and that's it.
All right. What is behind the enemy line? What's their second line? Can I see that or make that out? Thracians?
Some medium infantry, Thracians, and
All right. What are they? Spearmen or?
yeah, they got spears. So they got a little bit more Arab warbands behind the Arab warbands, and then a couple Thracian, 100
All right.
Thracians with
All right.
spears.
I want to go ahead and send the elephants around to strike the enemy rear, not quite in the middle, but close to the middle, you know. So the idea now is to support whoever is on my left by sending the elephants on a march across the enemy rear to do what elephants are meant to do in this period.
Yeah. So avoid the cavalry, keep going in the rear, and hit the infantry.
Yep, especially the bad guys, not the war band.
Okay.
Uh, I'm not too worried about the war band. It's the real stuff that we want to make a difference, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's going to take time for the elephants to go, so I'm giving that order now. And then I'll worry about my medium infantry and their war band on the next turn.
Got it.
Thank you. All right. So it looks like the umpires only sent 2 of my cavalry forward, but we will assume that enemy cavalry and friendly cavalry are properly engaged. So I erase theirs when I should not have. We'll put mine here. And then I have one here in reserve, more or less. Okay, so these guys are going to cancel each other out for now. Who knows who comes out on top or what? But even if one side wins the other, it doesn't mean the formation will be combat effective. I'm not going to worry about it now. This order is given, so the elephants will start moving and making their big move. And then all that's left is right here, the light versus the medium infantry, where we want to go ahead and make sure that their warband can't get over here in the way of the elephants or do anything crazy. If for some reason their warband does come over here to try to get crazy and block the elephants or whatever, that then creates an opening for my medium infantry to do what I was sending the elephants to do. So that's fine as well. Thanks to the diverse weight of numbers that we have in our favor, I think we're in pretty good shape. So I'm pretty optimistic here. One of the concepts that I think this battle is illustrating, and I could be devastatingly wrong, especially for losing in the center or the left right now. But I think I'm correct based on my very limited perspective. But one of the concepts that I want to illustrate with this battle is that battles are typically won or lost before the combat even begins. And in this case, we may have won this battle because of the nature of our deployment versus the nature of their deployment. The enemy does get a say, but they've deployed in a fashion where they put their main force on their right, our left, and it is believed perhaps we have effective forces to counter them there. We certainly have overwhelming force on the right, and we started out that way. And now we're capitalizing on the use of that force. While I would have liked to have sent my medium infantry in to engage with enemy warband first, I know that the move with the elephants is going to take time. So I have to issue this order before I issue this order for the infantry. The only concern is that once the elephants begin moving, I could trigger a response from the enemy that I don't anticipate. But that being said, the enemy probably sees this coming. They're not stupid. They know this is going to happen. And so they've probably already prearranged for a defense of this. If they haven't, then they're simply asking to be defeated. But hopefully, well, not hopefully, but uh, from the enemy perspective, ideally they're paying attention. And they know that this big right hook, if you will, is coming. And they are prepared to fight against it. I, of course, am hoping that they're paying no attention at all, that their attention is directed elsewhere. But we'll see. Fortunately, if the elephants close the distance and strike from the rear, and not I'm not worried about their light infantry or any of this. This is all dealt with. But if they strike over here, they can make it so that the units in the middle of our formation, or at least the middle right, can then break through and begin to roll up this line from the right to left. And of course, that would guarantee victory. I have one cavalry unit in reserve, and what you would do in that case is, if I don't commit them and the enemy begins to rout or retreat, that's when this unit then goes in, and that's when the killing begins. That's when it gets real on any battlefield. It's when the enemy starts to retreat and you can cut them up. Fire up the old Cuisinart. Yeah. Turns may be processed a little more quickly now once all the units are engaged. It becomes a simple matter of simply resolving combat. There's not really a lot of movement anymore to worry about, so that speeds things along. Now you're just resolving combats. So we'll see what happens. If the enemy has absolutely no hope left, they'll call the game. They'll call the game as soon as a decision point is reached. We've been playing since 6 a.m., although we didn't step off right at 6 a.m. But we have been essentially playing, which includes our late planning, since 6 a.m., so not quite 2 hours, which is about right. Well, there goes the dogs. So we don't want games that last 8 hours all the time, because one of the things we learned early on in the International Kriegsspiel Society is people just don't have that kind of time. So we want to have games that run about 3 to 6 hours on average. We've done a pretty good job of managing that. Excuse me. All right. Yeah, I know I'm muted. All right. Umpires are already back out, so as predicted, this should be a pretty quick turn, and the game should end shortly. It's small and simple, so I would expect. Okay, the umpires are back out. As predicted, the turn is fairly quick, which is classic at this point in the game. It is a small and simple game, and there's just not a lot of maneuver once the battle's joined. That's it, you know. So here we are. All right, so just a moment here. We're gonna get our report. I would be surprised if this runs for more than a couple more.
Hello,
Hello.
Marshall.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm dead.
You died?
I did. I killed an elephant and it fell on me.
Well, you forgot like the number one rule of ancient warfare, which is don't kill an elephant and let it fall on you.
That's right. I mean, that
That's
was like that's in the day one. That's
yeah, that's,
basic 101 right there.
yeah, that's ancient warfare kindergarten stuff, dude.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, all
I
right.
had not intended to actually take on an elephant in a one-on-one duel, but apparently apparently I did.
Who was bigger, you or the elephant?
Oh, I don't know. Probably the elephant.
Uh,
Hello, James.
I'm told he pulled a Legolas and tried to climb on top of the elephant
slide down the trunk kind of thing.
down
Yeah.
and
It's
Yeah.
landed on
it's
him.
funny. I just went over there to inspire my guys, and next thing I'm taking on an elephant in one-on-one duels.
So a trick I learned is have peanuts. Have circus
Mm,
peanuts for them. They
damn.
love
Or a
those.
mouse.
Or mice, yeah.
A mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So your cavalry combat continues fairly even, although you may have slight upper edge. To the left, your infantry, the Thracians and Gauls, have engaged the Arab warbands, and in most cases, the front line has broken of the Arabs, so they're already breaking through, which is good. The phalanx lines on both sides have halted, kind of staring at each other at spitting distance, but neither advancing. As you look to the rear, you can see your Libyan cavalry fleeing, uh, routed and disordered. So
Hey
something bad
guys,
must
see you
have happened
later.
there.
Okay.
And then, of course, your elephants are making their movement around the rear of the enemy as ordered to get into the infantry line over there, heading that way.
right. Yeah, I really hope they hit engaged infantry and not unengaged infantry that turns around and faces them. I want my reserve cavalry to begin killing anything that's fleeing.
Okay.
So that warband that's running away and anything that starts streaming from the battle, my cavalry orders to my free unit are to just kill them as they run. Kill them. It's time. It's time for the fun part to start.
Got it. Thank you.
So, okay.
Well, we were doing really well though. We were we were taking on all those Indian elephants and scything our way through them.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
unfortunately, one of them
Yeah.
fell on me.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Oh
We
well.
were. I think we're doing pretty well here. I think we are advantaged. Obviously, their infantry is pretty weak. Um, or so I hope. I hope that they're legitimately retreating, but we're going to make sure of that with our cavalry. And
Mhm.
I hope I haven't wasted my cavalry unit, but I think that in real life, when the enemy starts to retreat, that's when you're really supposed to go to town on them. But what do I know?
I don't know. What do you know?
Yeah. So,
You may know a lot.
yeah,
You may know a
maybe.
little. I don't actually know.
So, yeah, I'm just looking for validation that my order to kill retreating troops is a pretty good order.
Uh, Any order to kill the enemy is usually a good order.
Usually, unless it results
Usually.
in you being killed.
Exactly. Unless
So,
it was the wrong order.
at this point, all I can hope for is that everything is correctly timed.
Hmm.
Um, so everything now is committed. I've got no more role in the battle other than to cheer my men on. And they probably are very unconcerned with my cheering at the moment. Um,
Well, I've got no more role in the battle either. So I'm just here saying, Philippi, I will see you at Philippi.
right?
You will see me again at Philippi.
But
Oh wait, that's Julius Caesar. Sorry.
yeah, well, it's all good. Um, yeah, so I've committed all of my forces now as of this turn. The
Hmm.
elephants, of course, I just hope I've timed it correctly. I'm a little concerned that the phalanx have not become engaged, and I'm wondering why that might be, because I don't want to send my elephants at a phalanx and it turns around,
Hmm.
and now your elephants don't. So I don't know how elephants do against phalanxes, but I'm sure it's not
I can
great.
tell you by experience because we were killing theirs.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not great.
It's not. The elephants don't like to charge a big block of guys with very sharp, pointy sticks.
Yeah, so we kind of,
Yeah.
I hope that McPanzer or Ptolemy is appropriately occupying those guys.
Well, I could tell you, but I'm not going to because I'm not allowed
Hmm. Okay, yeah, well then don't cheat. Not that it makes any difference at this point. You can tell me that my plans are a complete disaster and there's nothing I can do anymore.
Oh no, I don't know about him, but I know, you know, why the two lines of infantry in the center are not engaged.
Oh boy. This isn't one of those big misunderstanding situations, is it? Where everyone's going to
No.
say, "Oh, wait a second. Wait, what? Really? Really? It was just that?" Oh my God, guys, this is so embarrassing, but this has just been a whole big misunderstanding. Thankfully, we've cleared it up. So we want y'all to do that stupid thing where y'all shake hands. You make a line and you go down the line and shake hands with everybody
Good
on the other
game. Good
team.
game.
Yeah,
Good battle. Good battle.
yeah. And they were just going to kind of go home. I mean, maybe there's pizza afterwards or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Greek pizza.
Yeah, maybe there's pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Could
you know, if you
could
had
be.
fun, you won. You're
Yeah,
winning.
we're gonna have olives and dates right over here.
That's it. That's it. Well, I like what Sean Connery said in, I think, The Rock. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and do the prom queen. You know.
Yes.
So I'm kind of hoping that we're the winners.
Oh man. Ah. My
Oh,
dear wife just discovered early in the week that she had yesterday off. She didn't know that she had it off. So she's decided that we have to do something. So I
yeah, we went to
I
explore the Carrizo Plain and the San Andreas Fault yesterday. So
hmm.
it was quite an adventure.
Well, we're not doing anything quite that exciting. We're just going to go over to Burlingame and have
Oh,
lunch and wander around. And because I convinced her, I said, she was like, "Oh, we should go somewhere. I got a long weekend." And I said, "You realize that a week from now we're getting on a plane to England?
right.
Okay, is that not enough for you?" I mean, seriously, we don't really need to go somewhere this weekend too, right? I
Yeah, well,
mean, yeah, I'm gonna go see Dave.
yeah, I
Gonna go
know,
see
man.
Dave.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Dave to dinner. We're gonna we're actually gonna stay in Windsor for um the what is it, 3 days, 4 days, and before we get on the train to Scotland. So
There you go.
yeah,
And where are you
looking
going
forward
in
to it.
Scotland?
I have no earthly idea. Uh, I didn't book any of this. Hell, I didn't even know about it till like 4 weeks ago.
Well, I'm just wondering, what the hell is there to see in Scotland? I mean, the Loch Ness
Edinburgh,
monster.
Glasgow, the Loch Ness monster, the Highlands, all kinds of stuff. Um,
Bro, bro, we live in California. It's basically the same. It's like it
yeah.
just. Oh, look, the foothills. Okay, Highlands. Like they have mountains over there or something. It's just a hill,
So
guys.
yeah, we're booked on a train tour of Scotland.
Hmm.
Hmm. So we're taking the train up from London to I think to Edinburgh, and then we meet up with our tour people there, and then I think each day we go to different places on the train throughout Scotland. So I don't know. I'm just along for the ride. I just go, "Oh, look, honey, isn't that nice?"
Well, there we go.
Yep, should be interesting. I've never been to Scotland, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I've only been to Ireland.
Yeah, I've been to Ireland a few times, and of course England and Wales, but for some reason never made it to Scotland. So
Hmm.
this time for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Yep, should be uh, should be fun. Oh, you know, I I always try to do my run or long walk or something in the morning, right? And
Hmm.
and one of the problems I always had with with running, and this has been forever. I mean, back in the army and after, is
Hmm.
the problem I have with running is that I get bored. You know,
Hmm.
it's a mental problem, not a physical one. It's like I could physically I could keep going, but my mind just gives up and says, "Oh God, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm bored." Um, so that was always a challenge for me.
Would it be
And
easier if
mm,
you had something to kill while running?
yeah, that would have been fun. See, you
Maybe
know,
if
if I was
something was trying to kill you, like we could get like I don't know, a cheetah or something.
hmm something to get that adrenaline going. You know.
Right,
Uh,
yeah, just to kind of keep you engaged with what you're doing so that your mind doesn't wander too much.
well, there's the answer right there. I I learned a long time ago. Yeah, I have to have something to keep me mentally engaged, or I just don't want to do it. So I got a pair of cleats and a soccer ball, and I used to go across the street from where I lived. There was a soccer field, and I would go over there, and I could
Hmm.
kick the ball up and down the field and shoot at the goal, and I could do that for 30, 45 minutes and not even notice
Hmm.
because it was like playing a game.
Right.
Engaging. Trying to perfect my shooting, that kind of thing is just fun. And so now I've started doing that here because I finally found a soccer field that I can use
Hmm.
um, nearby. And so I went the day before. Oh, hey James.
Hello. All right.
All
Gotta
right.
get your side of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So, pretty much good news. The enemy cavalry have broken and are fleeing. Your
Uh-huh.
elephant have charged and engaged. The enemy did manage to get some infantry to face them. The very Thracians you were worried about, they did send to meet them, but your elephants charged in and are just absolutely wrecking through their lines at the moment. The Arabs are all but entirely routed. One unit remains still coherent. The rest are just being uh, run over by your Thracians and Gauls, and your household cavalry are riding over there to follow up as ordered. Haven't quite caught anyone yet as they got over there, but they're heading that way. And
Yeah.
at the battle proper, their center, it looks like both phalanx lines are not moving. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, send the cavalry to support and protect the elephants. Like what I mean, it's everybody protect the elephants as the elephants go now. More or less, that's all we can do is make sure the elephants get to some meat and potatoes. So if I have to give an order, cavalry support the elephants now.
yeah, you got it.
So
Well, looks like you're riding down their left, our right flank there.
yeah, but I'm kind of worried that the uh, the phalanx dudes are
I don't.
not.
You don't need to. You don't need to be. I don't think because you're going to end up behind them, behind
Yeah,
their phalanx line at this rate,
yeah, but
and
do they?
then they're going to have a choice. What are they going to do? They're going to have to because our phalanx line is in front of them. I
Right,
mean,
right, right.
they can't engage both. You know,
Yeah,
that's when it really becomes a slaughter because a phalanx can't defend itself from the rear. And yeah, you're gonna, if you can get through this line of Thracians, you're gonna roll up their line because if they turn to engage you, our phalanx line is probably gonna move forward onto them. And yeah, it'd be a massacre.
well, I mean, I've got two concerns. The first one is, what if they have phalanx in reserve behind the line? Uh,
Hmm.
that's a problem. And then the second thing is, If I'm in a position where it feels like I'm winning, I
Mm-hmm.
am most certainly making a catastrophic error. So, just based on my gameplay style, my
I think
history.
I think you should have more confidence in your action here.
Ooh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I appreciate that, Coach. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
have you met me
What do I
before?
know? I'm dead. So
Have you have you met me before? Do you know who I am?
I do. I knew. See, the problem with your 60% formula
Yeah,
is
with me.
the
Yeah.
problem with your 60% formula has always been that 60% of the time going by that formula, you'll be wrong.
Right.
so, so the problem is you say, okay, uh, I'm going to if I think I should do one thing, I should do the opposite, and I'll be right 60% of the time. But the problem is that because you're more often wrong than right, then if you do that 60% of the time, you're still going to be wrong.
Right. So I guess
So
it's inescapable. It's fate.
exactly, it's this weird paradox, circular logic there.
Yeah.
You know,
The fates have ordained that thou shalt suck
so
all the days of thy existence.
so you might as well just say, oh, screw it, Fido, Fido, brother.
Fido, huh?
Uh-huh. We're not
Uh,
live, are we?
no, we are recorded though,
Okay.
because we
Because
are going to post this on YouTube. So yeah, I can Google it.
okay. Okay. Well, the first word is F with a bunch of expletive things,
Right, right.
and then the rest of it is uh it's F it drive on.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a new one for me. That's good.
Yes. We used it a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When something goes wrong, you just say F it, drive on. Let's
That's
go.
it. It's all you can do sometimes.
That's all you can do. So and if and if it's all you can do, then commit. You got to
That's right.
commit
That's right.
100%, you know, glory or death.
Right.
hmm The hesitant side usually loses.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I found a soccer field down here, and I've actually been looking for one that I could use ever since we moved here, and I kind of found it by accident the other day. But I
Hmm.
said, oh, I can go back to doing that, and so I went day before yesterday. Went over and bought a new pair of cleats and a soccer ball, and yesterday I went out for my first time and tried it out, and it was great. I it was great. I really enjoyed it. Now I'm not sure how well my knees are going to stand up to it, but because every time you kick the ball, there's a shock to the joints. So don't know if it'll strengthen them or hurt me more. I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing it until I can't do it.
Yeah, it's important to find something that you enjoy and keeps you engaged. For me, I found just music or a podcast or something works
Yeah,
pretty
you
well.
you can't you can't build up your circulatory system that way.
Well, yeah, I
You
mean,
don't get your heart rate up properly.
you put it on while you're doing your exercise.
Oh, well, there you go. Oh,
So for me, when I go to bed
uh-huh.
and work at going to sleep, which is my workout, I'll put something on.
hmm
So yeah, usually it's my own
Having
podcast. Yeah, puts me right off
having
to sleep.
having exhausted myself going up and down the stairs to the kitchen, I've decided
Yeah. Well, I
decided to
mean,
do a workout by taking a nap.
have you seen how big my sandwiches are? I mean, they get heavy. That's
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm into fitness. I'm into fitness sandwich in my mouth.
You'd have been proud the day I went and got my cleats and my soccer ball. I found a Mike's. So
Oh, hey, there you go.
and because there aren't any on this side, I was like, okay, well, I got to make this count. So I got the giant so that I could have half of it for one meal and half
Uh
of it for
huh.
another meal.
We'll be doing that in a little over a month now, 5, 6 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way to go. You just get the big one, and then it's 2 meals because those things are so huge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there we
Come
go.
on, girls.
So
Come on. Good girls.
all right.
I'm trying to keep the puppies from going and waking up mommy, which they desperately want to do. Freya wants desperately to go open the door to the bedroom and wake up mommy because she thinks mommy's supposed to be waking up so that mommy's not late to the office.
Right.
And
Yeah. That.
Freya is our clock keeper. She, she knows the time everybody's supposed to do stuff, and she gets very insistent if you don't do it.
Yeah. I guess dogs don't understand the concept of Saturday.
No, they do not. They do not understand holidays or weekends.
Yeah. Rough.
Every day, you're supposed to do the same thing every day. And if you don't, I get really anxious. Yes.
It's almost like dogs are a capitalist contrivance. You got to go to work, but
Mhm.
it's Sunday. No, you got to go to work.
That's right. It's,
You got to produce
it's-
value. You're
yeah.
not producing
Somebody's
value. Get up and produce value.
somebody's got to pay for those dog biscuits
That's right. Get up, produce value, and throw the ball.
and throw the ball. Throw
Throw
the
the ball.
ball.
Oh, yeah. That's Zephyr's favorite pastime. You can do that forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Throw the
Freya
ball.
too.
He just
Hera
doesn't
did,
like to give the ball, but he likes
ah,
when you throw it.
well, that was the strange thing about now Freya. I never had to teach her the retrieving for the ball at all. I mean,
Hmm.
the first time I tossed a ball, she she was just a baby. She ran, got it, and brought it back and dropped it. And I never I never had to teach her anything. It was like she just did it instinctively. And now Hera, on the other hand, Freya plays chase, retrieve the ball, by the text, by the book. Okay,
Uh huh.
she goes, she gets it, she brings it back, she drops it. Hera, on the other hand, is totally playing a completely different game. Hera's favorite game is get the ball and then make sure that Freya doesn't get it.
Keep
She,
away.
she's yeah, she's playing keep away with Freya. She's not as interested. Now she brings it back to me, but when she does, it's so funny. You'll have to see this when you come up here sometime. Um, she runs, she runs, and then she will run behind the chair that I'm sitting on outside, so that so that Freya can't get at her. And
Yeah.
then she'll turn around and she'll come up just enough to where she can drop the ball to where I can take the ball out of her mouth.
Mm.
And but yeah, her favorite game is basically just making sure Freya doesn't get the ball.
All right.
But man, she can jump. Good Lord. She snatches that thing out of the air. Just these incredible jumps. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. She's pretty impressive.
All right. The umpires are going around, so we're gonna be getting our updates here momentarily. This is kind of the big one, I think.
Hmm.
My
Well, once
my
you
car.
crush those striations, Yeah.
Yeah, my thing is I've really kind of committed everything, so I don't know that I have the power to do much more.
Ah,
I've committed all my
there you go again.
No, but I think that's fine. I think the orders I've given are excellent to carry
Mhm.
us through. I've never been a fan of you can command engaged troops. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
You know.
Just keep pressing. Just keep pressing. Go, go, go.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like that. You're in a
Oh,
firefight, and
hey,
go ahead.
James.
Hey,
Hello, hello. All right, Dionysius. So, continue to have good news, really. You're just rolling up the enemy flank. The last of their infantry is breaking. Um, their commander himself, Gary the Feared, is fighting in the front line. Somehow he's surviving as he dashes in the midst of your elephants and cavalry.
That's because our elephants aren't dying and falling on him.
Yeah, you need to order one of your elephants to die and fall on him. Other than that,
who
if
am I,
you
Mustafa Kamal? I am not ordering you to fight. I am ordering you to die.
so your cavalry joined, and really that's their hit on the flank of the Flacians what's finally broke them. You can see your household cavalry chasing down the enemy in the rear. Some of your Thracians are turning to face the enemy phalanx, which is also refusing the flank. And I don't know if the Seleucid phalanx line is moving, but the Egyptian line is definitely advancing again. And looks like they haven't engaged over here, but they're moving.
All right.
As you look way down the line, you can see some enemy elephants. You think they're enemy elephants. You see elephants moving to the rear. A lot of dust and stuff over there. Can't really tell what's going on, but that's
Okay.
just what happened.
I need my elephants to attack intelligently. I'm gonna just assume that whoever is driving an elephant, that they know how to, avoid the pointy parts of the enemy phalanxes
Hmm.
and attack the dull parts of the enemy phalanxes. Um, so that would be my only order if I had to give that order to them. If I don't have to give that order to them, direct cavalry and such to continue attacking enemy forces. Just start rolling up the line. Um, that would be my order if I don't have to tell elephants to you know not to do smart things. As for the enemy commander, I'll go ahead and just attack him myself. Hopefully, waiting for when he's avoiding an elephant foot or something, and then just kill him. I'm not looking for an honorable man-to-man fight. I'm just looking to kill the dude.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's eliminate him from the equation. All right.
See,
Yeah,
and the best part of that is that the our phalanx line is now moving forward again,
yeah, good.
which means his phalanx line is all about to be engaged.
I feel bad about just straight trying to assassinate the enemy commander, but not really.
You know,
Not,
remember what the object of good tactics is:
yeah,
to
kill
commit
the
murder.
enemy and don't die. Yeah,
It's to commit murder.
yeah. What was
That's
that the
those.
Patton said? You're not there to die for your country or to make that other poor bastard die for his.
Yes, there's no such thing as playing fair. It's,
Yeah, yeah. But I was saying,
Hmm?
I have a vision of you in a firefight. Your Abrams is locked in battle with a bunch of, dusty old T-72s, and you get an order on the radio, withdraw and redeploy to the left flank, break off. And yeah, okay. I'm sure you do it right away.
uh-huh. I
So,
think that transmission was garbled.
yeah, yeah,
My radio seems to have gone out.
yeah. On the way? No, sir. You're moving. Yeah, we want you to move. We
Mhm.
want to see what's over that sand dune on the left, so disengage and go have a look.
Hey, that's what McMaster did. He went to see what was on the other side of that sand dune. It turned out it was an entire Republican Guard unit.
Wow.
Not long after that, there wasn't any Republican Guard unit. They just wiped them out.
Yeah, well, that's what you do. I like the guy
73 Easting.
surrendering to the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best. But anyway. Oh man.
Given what had fallen on those guys, that's exactly what you would do, is surrender to anything you could.
Yeah.
Girl Scout troop, please, just take us. We'll eat your cookies, no problem.
CNN reporter. I'll surrender to a
Yeah, oh yeah.
reporter. That camera sure looks mean and violent, so I'll surrender to it.
Do you speak English? I would like to surrender to you. Oh man, I'll tell
Well,
you what,
I think we dropped flyers telling them how to surrender. Didn't they just have to
we
wave
did.
the flyer? Yeah, yeah. We just
Mm-hmm.
we'll help you.
Yes, we'll help you, no problem. Yeah,
God.
I mean, man, there's a whole house of bricks fell on those guys. You would not want to be underneath
Yeah. Well.
it.
Oh well.
Especially since half of them were like, a week ago I was a taxi cab driver. Now all of a sudden I'm in a hole in the desert
Yeah.
with a rifle that I don't even know how to use.
Well, I mean, in their defense, it was a little safer than being a cab driver, but I mean,
That's probably true.
really, I don't have to deliver these pizzas anymore. All I have to do is huddle in a hole. I'll take it.
Well, where do
You
I
mean there's
sign up?
there's only an 85% chance of death? Wow.
I've improved my odds. Dear mom, my odds of survival have improved by 17%.
Yeah. Our grandkids on the way. Well, let's hold off on that. But it's now the card is in the deck now. Oh
Oh
man.
man.
Yeah, I do think we have the bad guys kind of beat here at this point because and here's why. They are clearly reacting to us. We are not reacting to
Yeah.
them, they are reacting to us. And generally when the enemy is in a react mode, that means you have the initiative, and unless you're doing something really stupid or he has a crap ton of reserves that you don't have, uh, he's probably in a bad state. I think that's a good barometer of performance.
Well, both of his flanks are now beaten.
Yeah. So.
That that's the key. I mean, on the other side of the field, those those elephants running away,
Hmm.
that tells you that that fight is over. And
Well.
the only thing in front of my phalanx line past the elephants
Hmm.
were light and medium infantry, and our cavalry on that side was already destroying them before while I was killing the elephants.
Well,
So,
now I don't want to be negative Nelly here, but let me
oh
just
God.
point out it is within the realm of possibility that those elephants were running away to simply go to another fight. That they weren't
No.
really routed. They're going to another fight that we can't see yet. So
Uh, yeah, in
we
another
just
country, maybe. I don't think
they're
we have to worry about them in this fight.
they're on their way to Persia, but I mean,
I can tell you that. I mean, we were murdering those elephants on the other side. Now they broke one of my phalanxes, one of my blocks, but the one behind them came up and started engaging. Um,
mhm.
the other ones, yeah, the other ones to their front, they had basically murdered all those. It was a great screen. When you look at the screen, you know, the live stream thing, and they're showing you, and there's
Hmm.
all these elephants with their feet straight up in the air. It was hilarious. I mean, it's really great stuff. I've always wanted to play on one of these that James does with the
First
actual
person
point of view.
perspective. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I've
Great.
always wanted to play in one of those. I always, every time I see that he's done that, I just think, man, that's so cool. I wish we could do that with all of them. That would just be great.
Well,
Um,
if anything, I suspect he's a little too generous with the view and the information. Like telling me that the elephants in the distance are running away. I'm probably too busy to bother with that. In
mhm,
real life,
mhm.
if that were me. You
Yeah, he
know.
he actually probably doesn't need to give you a report other than what you might hear.
Yeah.
What your other senses would have that you can't have from visual. What
Yeah.
you would hear, what you would smell, that kind of thing. Because otherwise, you're getting the visual, so you can see what you can see, you know.
Yeah. Well, you smell
Um,
blood and poop, and you hear a lot of clanking of metal. Which way do you want to look, right or left?
people
That's your
people
report.
crying people crying for their mother.
Yeah.
Um, and you smell homemade bread. Yes. Oh, great! I'm dying. Um, so yeah, and you can see those elephants out in the distance, but quite honestly, in a real life person situation, from that distance and that view, you can't tell whose elephants those are. You don't know if that's your elephants advancing on the other end or if it's their elephants running away, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And the only way you'd be able to tell is the size because their elephants are bigger than ours.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they have the Indian ones and we have the African ones. But
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's a little too generous with the report. He should just give you any sensory information that's not visual,
Ah.
um, and stick to that because the visual you're getting exactly what you would see, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, but that's
I
all right.
I wanna I wanna grab some of that ivory. So when this battle's over, I'm gonna score me some ivory.
Hmm.
A couple big ass ivory tusks and
Man, this entire adventure though has made me hungry for Indian food. I
oh, I
asked
know,
my
right?
I made my or I asked my umpire uh, earlier when he was telling me, I was my guys are scything through the elephants, and and I said, I wonder what elephant tastes like, and he said, I I don't know. I said it probably tastes like chicken.
Well, we've certainly earned Indian food today.
Yeah, yeah. I died gloriously.
Yeah. Well, not you. You're dead. But when I say we, I mean my guys.
Uh huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
but we'll describe the Indian food to you as you rise to your reward.
Well, I
Um,
expect to get it as an offering. You know, Mm,
oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
would, I would,
we'll put a
in
plate
in
out
my
for you, bro.
tomb. Yeah, in my tomb, I want a plate of chicken tikka masala, some
Mm-hmm.
or naan. I'm sorry, some
Mm-hmm.
naan, and
Yeah, you
maybe
need the
some
naan. What are you
raita.
going to eat it with? Because that's the only proper way to eat Indian food.
That's right. Exactly.
So there you go.
That's my expectation of the afterlife.
That's it, man. Just eat.
Eat and fight.
Yeah, eat and fight. That's right.
Valhalla.
Yeah.
Why do you have a Roman avatar?
You know,
Dionysus. Dionysus.
I tried to get it to Chat GPT to create the right kind of avatar, and I just decided,
Mhm.
all right, we're gonna phone it in. So I
I
dropped
mean,
it in.
mine at least is Greek.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I just phoned it in at a certain point. I'm like, who knows? No, nobody knows. Nobody cares. But yeah, that's
Mhm.
my whatever.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
I know, and I
People who
care.
know. People who watch this video to this point, they know. They know. But
Yeah.
I'll confess, I'm just phoning it in. So yeah, it's like,
Oh,
no
man.
Greek, you idiot. I even told it Macedonian. I like specified in
Mhm.
my chat GPT instructions, and
Hey,
I don't
James.
think,
Hello,
yeah.
hello.
All right, there's James. Of course, we got James, with Ulysses S. Grant here.
Yes.
So he's kind of spoiled the whole. You've ruined the whole Kriegsspiel, James, by not
Ooh,
updating your avatar.
something's
Updating it to
dead in
what?
front of you.
Huh?
What am I supposed to update it to?
Your avatar. It needs to be like a god.
Something ancient.
Yeah, an
Oh,
Yeah.
ancient god like Ares or
Maybe
Mars.
Zeus or
Yeah.
something.
Okay. So I see we're gonna make
so
some
you have
glue here.
engaged Gary the fearful, or feared, I guess he's fearful now, and unfortunately gotten the better of him. Well, unfortunately for him, gotten the better of him. And so your wing continues to basically just chase down the enemy advance. Your elephants, it's a bit disorganized and disordered now, but the elephants are advancing, a little bit caught behind the infantry, but moving. Your cavalry's moving. No one's engaged yet, but the enemy phalanx line has refused their flank, so um, they're they got 2 units ready to receive you. One thing to note, and this is big, you've noticed some Greek light infantry have emerged from the hills and are running towards you from the rear.
All right, tactically, what do I know about Greek light infantry? What are they armed with? Spears,
They
swords,
got spears. They're
anger,
loose order formation,
philosophy.
fast moving.
Okay, loose spearmen, huh? All right. How are my mediums? Do I have any medium units in good order?
Yeah, all your Thracians and Gauls are in pretty good order still.
Okay, yeah. Thracians and Gauls need to refuse and meet the Greek lights. The elephants are not to engage. Again, fall back from the pointy stuff and stay back, but try to find an opening. Actually, I can't give two orders, can I?
Yeah, which is it?
It's gonna be that Greek infantry, Thracians and Gauls. I will
Okay.
have to trust the elephants not to do anything asinine.
Well,
Um,
you already ordered them not to go towards the pointy things, so
yeah, perfect.
play
And
your order.
those horse hooves, send those to the glue factory.
Okay, got him.
All right, you're gonna have some good glue here.
I think
Pour
you needed to strip his body, tie it behind your horse, and then
drag it
ride it through
around.
the desert. Yeah, drag it
Drag it
around.
around.
I mean, 3 times around the back of their army.
Who was that? What, Paris or whoever?
No, that was what
Uh, um,
Achilles did to Hector.
Hector. That's right. I was trying to remember who he did that to. Um,
Mhm.
Not Paris. No, Priam was the king.
Priam was the king. Yeah.
Yeah,
Paris
king of
is the
France.
little weaselly guy that started the whole damn thing.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, I got him
Mhm.
crossed for a second. Um, oh Lord, uh, I feel bad in real life for whoever my opponent was, and now he is dead. But in a way, I wanted to take revenge for you. So
I appreciate that, brother.
yeah, I mean, eye for an eye here, and
Mhm.
he probably had nothing to do with an elephant falling on you, but it doesn't matter. The We got to balance the book somehow.
That's right. You
So
know, yeah, okay, so he's refused 2 of his blocks.
yeah,
He's gonna get engaged from his front.
yep,
but
I'm
you
gonna make
don't.
him pay for refusing the flank by not
Yeah,
engaging, and
but
now they're
don't
facing
engage
the
it.
wrong way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't engage it exactly. But even better, because of your mobility, you can have your horse, your cavalry, basically ride
correct.
further out. I mean,
Correct.
turn right, go further out, so that that refused part of his line, it doesn't mean anything. And then you can turn and come straight at the back of his
Uh-huh.
engaged phalanxes. Yes.
Yeah,
And
that is
and then
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, then the murder begins.
yeah. I'm surprised James hasn't called it at this point, but maybe
I
those
am
plates
too, to
are
be
good.
honest with you, because I'm thinking, I mean, obviously, I haven't been on the left for quite a while now, but at the point where I left, you know, and given what we saw, and especially in the last report, I think their left flank is pretty much done. So, and now, or I'm sorry, their what would be their right flank is probably being crushed, and now and their left now is also. So maybe he just wanted to give. Well, I don't know. Maybe they triggered this little sneaky ambush thingy where you got light guys that were probably hidden in the sand or something popped up.
Yeah, my only concern is, what were they armed with? Spears, short swords,
Well,
philosophy.
they're obviously just going to be light troops because anything heavy wouldn't have been able to hide. So
Yeah,
so they're not going to have much. Your Thracians and Greeks will probably be more than enough to take care of them. So
right. That's why I sent them. So I'm trying to
mhm,
practice economy of force and not overkill anything. Um, so there we have it. So yeah, now it just we just outmaneuver to the rear. I mean, this is kind of
mhm,
a no-brainer. I,
mhm.
I played Total War enough to know to be an expert on ancient warfare tactics. So,
Yes, yes. Total War, boy, they've got it right.
oh yeah, can you imagine if somebody invented a time machine and we sent a 14-year-old to ancient times? They would defeat Alexander.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't
Uh,
stand a chance.
And Alexander would be like, "Why can't we outflank you? I mean, you're huddled into a little corner, and that's it. I'm huddled into the corner of the map. You can't outflank me. You can't defeat me
That's
from the
right.
front. So all your troops now have to attack until they die my
Uh-huh.
little front here." And Alexander would be like, "I don't know how to counter this." No, you don't, Alexander.
Yeah,
Total war,
because
buddy.
the world ends at the corner right there. You can't go around them.
That's right. You tuck all your forces into a corner of the total war map, and
Hmm.
that's how I'd conquer the ancient world.
Yeah, of
So,
course. Makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Strangely enough, it works in the Napoleonic era too.
Yeah, if you play Napoleon Total War, yeah, I know. So,
Hmm. Hmm. I've been playing that. What is it? Field of Glory Empires. I think that's
uh,
what they call it. I really, really wish that that game was better. I really wanted it to be better, but man, it drives me crazy. It just does. It's so it does just totally dumb things. And so you spend like all your time putting out brush fire rebellions everywhere, and you can't conquer anything because if you go conquer something, then it raises your decadence level and you start falling into the lower bands, and now everything is falling apart. You get civil wars and everything else. So basically, if you play as Rome in that, you can't do what the Romans did. You know,
hmm
you can't conquer the Mediterranean world. Even in the right time frame. I mean, hell, the last time I played as the Romans, it was like I don't know 60 A.D. and I still hadn't even conquered Gaul because every time I tried to add any new provinces to the empire, I'd end up with a civil war.
Uh,
Hmm.
well, I guess crucifixion isn't an option, huh? Mass crucifixion. There's no
No,
option for that. And that, yeah, it's a obvious
it
design
doesn't
flaw.
let you do that. I mean, I loved Rome Total War modded. I played it on the Europa Barbarorum mod, and that was just fantastic. That was I mean, it still had some flaws that were hard coded into Total War, but that mod just made that game so completely different. And I mean, it wasn't even recognizable from the original, from the vanilla, and it was just a blast to play. It was fantastic. Unfortunately, um, I don't think that it's all supported anymore, and I can't figure out how to get that mod for the vanilla Rome Total War in on Steam. I
Hmm.
can't get it to work. So
Is it the original
if I
Rome
if
Total War or the number two, the remake?
it was for the original one. Hey
Yeah.
James.
Hello, hello. All right.
All right, here's James. All right.
So you give the order for the Thracians and the Gauls to reform and face the incoming infantry, which they do. They not quite made contact, but are just about to.
Okay.
They're able to reform in good order and are ready to face them. Your cavalry and elephants continue to move over to the enemy flank. The enemy main line's pretty well engaged, so they just have some heavy infantry basically kind of guarding their rear now, but you're moving around on their flank, so they're turning to face you as you do so. Your household cavalry have essentially killed and run off everyone they could, so their commander has sent a courier to let you know he's coming back and is awaiting further orders. And your own Ekakori cavalry are also moving forward, kind of on the elephant flank.
All right. This is gonna
Hey
sound.
James, is that a drone over there?
Do you
Oh,
see a
in the
drone in the air?
screenshot. Yeah, there's something in the
Um,
screenshot I saw
yeah,
too.
there's something in the air. I could swear it looked like a drone.
I don't see it
Yeah, I think
anymore.
the camera angle has to be right for it to appear. But anyway,
Okay.
my order is, and I don't know if I want to issue it to elephants or cavalry, but this is going to sound very Greek, but um, find an exposed backside and poke it. I don't care where it is along the line, but find an exposed backside and well, there you
I
go.
guess you could just say, move forward, and then turn left and charge the center of his phalanx line. That
Well,
would
yeah,
probably do it.
it's whatever target of
Yeah,
opportunity, you know.
yeah,
If
yeah.
he turns around and refuses, don't attack it. But that's great
Mm,
because now he's offering his rear to our
right.
main force. So yeah, find a rear and poke it. And I suppose I would issue that order to the cavalry at this moment. They are a little more
Hmm.
mobile and fast.
Okay. And where will
Hmm.
you be going or staying?
I'll stay close to the elephants for the moment because my next order will probably be the same one to them.
Got it.
Yeah. Actually, no. Let's go with the Cav. Oh, he's gone. All right, whatever. Yeah, I was gonna say go with the Cav. I'm gonna ride with the Cav. We're gonna get a little stuck in. We're gonna have some fun. All right. Yeah, let's have some glory.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm riding along with you in spirit.
That's it. So, yeah, I mean,
You
I
see
can't.
these chains? See these chains, Marshall? These are the chains I forged in life. So I'm sorry they're slowing your horse down.
Yeah. So there we go. But yeah, I think we got him.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I think so. I don't see how this is not going badly for them. I don't. I just don't.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So there we go. Yeah. Jeez, this reminds me of that time we played that miniatures battle at the convention. Damon and
Mm-hmm.
I. Was
Mm-hmm.
it Damon? You were you playing too? Or I think you were
No,
watching.
I was watching, and you and Damon were playing.
Yeah, we just applied actual tactics, whereas they were trying to play the rules, and
I
we're
was
like, yeah,
I was taking pictures and uh, chatting with Jim
yeah.
about
Oh, I
the
remember
game.
that. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're just like, yeah, we're just gonna tear this up. Yeah. I don't care what your rule book says. If your rules are worth anything, then sound tactics wins the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Combined arms. It works in every era.
that's it. That is it. Oh man. So well,
Mhm.
I'm glad this wasn't a complete disaster. I was, I was like, man, what if we get there and it's just all wrong? But I think we were set up really well to begin with.
Mhm.
I think we kind of had a balanced approach. Did you have elephants on the left?
I did.
Yeah, yeah. I think the balanced approach kind of worked for us, whereas they went for a strong right hook, but for whatever reason, we had whatever it took to make the elephants fall over. Maybe that was
We
just
we we had me.
yeah, yeah, you. So,
On that side of the field, we had elephants and cavalry plus, and of course my phalanxes, and they had all their elephants,
mhm.
and then behind their elephants they had medium infantry and cavalry,
So
and
what went wrong? I mean, with that kind of
well, in my opinion, their mistake was they launched their elephants straight at me,
yeah.
totally unsupported.
Okay,
They
cool. There
didn't
you go.
the Yeah,
Yeah.
none of their other guys see, just like I said, combined arms works in every era. They launched their elephants at me with no support, not even skirmishers.
Yeah.
And so when they did, my skirmishers were shooting up their elephants as they were coming in, and then I halted my phalanx line to receive the elephants, and slingers, uh, my slingers kind of filtered between the rows of their elephants, and were just slinging into the sides of their elephants because they were all intermingled inside their elephant formation, tossing, you know, hitting the elephants from all sides. And then their elephants ran straight into my pointy sticks. They didn't like that very much.
Mhm.
And so they halted. And then when they did, I ordered my phalanxes to start pushing forward. Um, just basically we're just moving that pointy stick at them, you know, and that started killing their elephants.
Mhm.
And since they had no support, the rest of their line stayed still. There was no support for the elephants, so the elephants couldn't protect themselves. They were just getting cut down. And then, unfortunately, our elephants broke and ran because they couldn't handle the smell of the larger Indian elephants, so they broke and ran.
Mhm.
But our
Mhm.
cavalry on that side um, defeated their cavalry and basically started sweeping their medium infantry over there. Basically, what you're doing on this side, um, and once their elephant charge was basically beaten, they weren't going to be able to hold on that side because, as far as I knew at that point, the only thing they had back behind it was medium infantry, and that medium infantry wasn't going to stand long against a phalanx line.
Mm.
The biggest threat to us was that because I had to halt my phalanxes in order to engage the elephants, the rest of our line to my right had continued to advance. So there was a gap forming between my right and the rest of the line.
Mm.
So that was the biggest threat. And and then, but they weren't able to take advantage of it. They didn't have anybody to take advantage of it. And apparently, they had moved their heavy cavalry to my side of the field once their elephants were being beaten, and so you didn't have that heavy cavalry to face, and they didn't have the heavy cavalry to take advantage of the gap in our line because it had shifted all the way over. And from what I could see, and then of course Ptolemy himself uh, came over to where I was, and I told him, we got this gap forming because my guys are not moving forward because we're engaging these elephants. So he went over to the center and told them to halt until we had defeated the elephants on the left side so that we could reform, we could get the line even again. So that's why that long line of phalanxes wasn't moving because they were waiting for me to beat the elephants over on the left.
Mm.
So I'm assuming that because they started moving again and they're engaging, that mean and we saw that elephant was running away way over on the other side. That means that we've finally demolished, ended his elephant threat on the left, and now the whole line is moving forward.
Mm.
That's the way it appears now. Obviously, I don't know what's happened in the interval over on the other side, but that's the way it looks like.
Yeah. Well, I gave orders early on, and I was pretty clear here on this live stream that I wanted the elephants to be supported. I didn't want any of my units to be unsupported. In
Mhm.
fact, that was my concern with the original plan. Was it felt like I was supposed to go forward kind of on my own, and I'm like, well, what's going to support my division?
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah. I mean, combined arms. Yeah, you can't just go off half cocked like that. You're just going to die.
Yeah,
So
I'm not sure what the other side was thinking in that. It may be it's any number of possibilities. I mean, if it was intentional, they may have been trying to either break my part of the line, or halt it. Oh, there's James.
Back already.
So soon. We missed you.
All right.
The
So,
dulcet tones of James.
the enemy, so they had a second line of phalanx units, which basically have all turned around to face you.
mhm.
And so as you lead your cavalry looking for an opening in the enemy rear, you're not really seeing one yet, or you haven't seen one yet. Though this unit up here isn't facing you, and they're still advancing forward. So you're almost actually to the far right of their line now. So they're basically their whole left and center has something at least to face you, and so you've not charged in. But there is a juicy target here. There's also a general. Oh, there's CIC standing there as well. As you look behind you, you got your two cavalry units following you, with the household cavalry catching up. Your elephants are falling behind, and following, but they're obviously not as fast as your cavalry.
That's okay.
And
Orders
uh,
to the household cavalry are to strike the CIC. The rest of the cavalry, the juicy target.
okay, got it.
Yep, yep. Let's take the easy money. All right, all right. So the hope in striking the CIC is we end this.
Mm.
Ends here.
Cut the head off the snake.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
God, I'm just a murdering fool. I mean, holy
Yeah,
crap.
you're going to be a hero. You're going to
I
be the
know.
hero.
right? Somehow,
You get all the laurels.
yeah,
I get a hero. I get a pyre. I get a I get a
yeah.
large funeral pyre. You get all the laurels.
Um, if we can put him in a cage and have a triumph. Although that's kind of a Roman thing,
That is a Roman thing, yeah.
maybe just put him in a cage for a bit,
Mm.
and then we can strangle him, after dinner.
Vercingetorix style.
Yeah, yeah. So we're
That's what
gonna,
Caesar did.
yeah. It's just we're gonna have a big, I mean, you wait, it's not gonna be right away because you got to
Hmm.
invite all your friends and family and the kids and all of that, and then you
Well,
have the
see
feast.
that that's
And
what Caesar did. He had him for his tri. He kept him as a prisoner for a long time until he did his triumph. Then he had him marched marched in the triumph, and then when it was over, he had him strangled and as a message as a message to any any recalcitrant senators.
hmm yeah, well,
Although it seems kind of oh, I don't know, what's the word? Um, well, anyway, it yeah. I mean, poor Vercingetorix. I mean, he just did his thing. It's like he was no longer a threat.
yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
Barbarian
Oh
king.
well. Probably was doing him a favor by ending him though, because
Oh well, yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
who wants to live in a cage?
yeah, exactly.
So
And the Romans didn't really have they didn't have a prison system, so there was no
yeah,
place to keep him in that respect. So
yeah. Well, you don't want to live in prison either, I imagine.
right.
You know. So I'd be like, all right,
Could
we're
have kept
going.
him could have kept him at the house as a sort of pet, but then he would always be kind of a threat.
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, he might bite, and you have to feed it.
mm, he
You
might
know.
get his hands on a knife.
Yeah. You know. So yeah, yeah. I think it's all good. So let's see what happens here.
Victory and glory.
Right. Let's see my tabletop. Yeah, so I was worried he would have a second line and he would refuse everything.
Hmm.
Um, but that's okay because yeah, I mean at a certain point that costs him,
Yes,
you
he
know.
doesn't have anything to back up his first line, and our phalanx lines are too deep. So you know, he's gonna be over engaged to his front,
Yeah. Well,
and he
we
yeah.
call this punching above our weight class now
Hmm.
because my unit is just kind of running around menacingly, and we're
Hmm.
tying up a lot of his power
Hmm.
because he's so concerned that I'm going to poke him somewhere, which I am.
Yeah,
But
which you are.
yeah, but he's devoting half of his effective, well, maybe a third of his effective power, not as a reserve, but as, oh my God, I don't want to get attacked from behind. I'm getting surrounded.
Hmm.
So there we go. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we got to be getting close to the end here.
yeah. So my
Well, look
or
at you,
elephants.
man. You killed one enemy leader in hand-to-hand combat,
Uh-huh.
and you may kill their commander in chief with your household cavalry. Broke their flank. Man, Marshall, you're gonna
Having a good day.
you are having a big day today, brother.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna win my first Kriegsspiel today after 15 years. Only McPanzer's
Uh,
commander in chief will take all the credit from me.
yeah, but you'll know,
Mm,
and
no
everybody who
problem.
listens to this recorded stream,
Yeah, right. My slaves will
they'll
know.
know.
My slaves
They'll
will
know
know.
who the real. They'll know who the real winner was.
That's it.
That's all right. The character that they gave me, what's his name? Sociobius, or
Yeah.
yeah. He actually assassinates Ptolemy the Fourth.
Oh well, there you go. Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's not going to get the chance because he got fallen on by a giant elephant.
That's okay, brother. I'm here for you. I'm here
That's
for you.
right. After this glorious win, you could probably assassinate Ptolemy the Fourth and become king.
I'm gonna become Pharaoh of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Um. Hmm. Yeah, I think I'll let the slaves know that I've got good news. They get the day off. The bad news is it's to listen to me carry on about my victories. Let me tell you in great detail how I won the battle.
That's right. I will strip my sleeves and show you my scars.
They'll be
And
like,
any all those who were in bed asleep in Egypt will
yeah.
think themselves accursed that they were not here on St. Crispin's Day.
My slaves are gonna be like, can we please go back and scratch it more manure rather than listen to this crap? Can
I'd
we?
like to volunteer for latrine duty, sir.
Yeah, yeah. But you don't want to hear my story, not again.
Oh no, we love your story, but the latrines really do need cleaning, sir.
Oh my gosh. The latrine is already so sparkling clean that Zeus himself would be proud to use it.
After the 37th time, after the 37th time, Marshall tells the same poor joke.
Yeah,
Half of his slaves have committed suicide.
yeah. Can I please just be crucified? Please.
Yes, we'll hang you up on a cross, but then I'm just going to stand there and read you my poetry.
Gonna bury you in a tomb, and on the tomb we're gonna chisel the account of my victory. We're gonna put a frieze or a picture above it. Do you like the Assyrians did? Just their whole dining hall is just covered with stories of their.
Their glory.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
uh, he was known as Dionysus the Terrible.
Right? Oh man.
Mhm.
Any minute now we should get an update. I think it'll be. I think this is it.
It
Especially if I
it
bag the CIC. If I bag the CIC, then come on.
yeah. It feels like it should be, but obviously we don't know what's going on in the entire field, but it feels like it should be.
Yeah, and that's why I'm targeting the CIC is to put it to a merciful end. It's not that I want to, assassinate people or that I'm on some kind of killing streak. It's no, it's just I think tactically that's the correct decision to end the battle quickly. In real life, I would do that, and it's not because I want to collect
Yeah.
head, you know.
No. Collecting heads, that's what I would do.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know.
we win the battle. I don't care if we win the battle or not. I'm going to kill that guy.
Yeah. No, I'm literally playing to win, as opposed to anything else. But now, after we win,
hmm
then these guys all become slaves. So
hmm
there's going to
hmm
be a lot of. I mean, you would be surprised at the amount of labor we need to work the fields in Egypt.
Yeah,
My
that
farms in
sand isn't going to
Alexandria.
move
Yeah.
itself.
Well, the farms in Alexandria. We're going to need all that grain has to be grown, and we have to do Egyptian grain things, and so these guys are,
hmm
you know,
We have to
I,
make ourselves more attractive to the Romans for future use.
that's right, that's right. Well, Rome needs the grain shipments, right?
Yeah,
So
they will. They
they
definitely
will,
will.
yeah, not right now, but they will. So we're just gonna start ahead of time. We want to get a head start.
Mhm.
Yeah, poor guy. Well, the
Who are
most,
these people? Who are these people we're fighting?
you know, the most
Do you know?
important. Oh, there are other Macedonian factions from
No. I don't mean historically. I
post
mean,
Alexander. Oh,
who are
yeah,
we who are we playing?
yeah. I was asking McPanzer. They're like a subset of Little Wars TV.
Ah, okay.
They're like a little clique within, I guess, as I understand it. I don't know who they are, which
Oh,
is great.
okay.
I like when you're playing against total strangers
Mhm.
and you don't know their names or faces. You have no connection with them. You don't know
Mhm.
what they're going to do because that's kind of real life, which I like. Because in real life,
Mhm.
sometimes you're up against an opponent and you don't know who the hell that is. Who the hell is Saladin? I don't need a
Mm.
salad. You
Mm.
know, let's go
Hey.
fighting. And then of course he cleans your clock, but that's part of the fun. You know.
Yeah, those the first time the Persians fought Alexander, they didn't know Alexander for nothing,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. Although
Diogenes,
they
uh,
would have had I mean they had intelligence reports on all these guys and everything obviously.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
And I
they
have
didn't
to
know
warn them,
what
I
kind of
is very
commander,
intelligent.
yeah. They didn't know what kind of commander he was going to be or anything like that. Boy, they got a lesson in a hurry.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Poor guys.
Mhm. There he is.
All right.
The enemy phalanx, unfortunately, has orders to turn around and manages to do so in time. So at the last minute, you pull your cavalry back and away from that charge.
Okay.
Um, you're basically in the rear right of the enemy line. There's some archers over here firing with their flank exposed. This, those are your units. So these Egyptian phalangites are all your phalanx line. Um, so the enemy line that's engaged is actually that's not engaged, they're reserve. So that they got infantry all reserved here, but basically their back line is all facing towards the rear now. Your household cavalry is they're a bit slow, they're heavy cavalry. They were chasing the enemy commander, but he moved up to join his own heavy cavalry, who is basically doing the same thing you're doing, trying to get behind the line and over there. So that's the situation. From where
Wow.
you're at, you could charge in on the flank of these guys without them getting to turn in time,
Mhm.
or you could hit the archers as well.
Yeah, let's hit the phalanx from the flank. Yeah, we'll do that.
Oh, and you receive a courier arriving from the Thracians and Gauls far across the battlefield. They confirm that they have routed the enemy infantry and are waiting for the orders. So
Well, I can't give them orders quite yet, but
Yep.
let's hit that phalanx target of opportunity. So we'll hit them and then get out. Hit and run. So okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Hmm.
Well,
So it looks like our cavalry on this end of the field is no more.
right.
They must have been beaten by his heavy cavalry, and his heavy cavalry are getting ready to to try to hit the end of the line back there.
Yeah, that's why the battle's still going because
Mm-hmm.
they think they still have a chance.
Mm. They still have hope.
Yeah, and that's actually a major target.
Mm-hmm.
People don't think about that, but I really think that's what you have to kill in combat with the enemy. I think that's Clausewitz. You know, you want to destroy
Mm-hmm.
the enemy's means to resist. But
Yes, got to break his will.
precisely. So if you take
Mm-hmm.
away the hope, you win. You don't have to kill everyone. You just have to break their morale. And
Now you
when
never
you break,
kill everyone unless
yeah,
it's a nuclear war.
yeah. Well, but that's literally, that's what people fail to target, especially
Mm-hmm.
in like the gaming realm and the
Mm-hmm.
wargaming realm. People are interested. But I've learned even when gaming, if you are playing a game against someone and they become convinced that you are going to thrash them,
Mm-hmm.
they will stop playing the game. They will disengage from the game and make suboptimal moves. They might, tough it out and play to the bitter end with you, but they'll give up.
Mm-hmm.
So it works in the gaming realm just as it works in real life. If you can break that morale, so
You
you
might
know,
consider sending your household. Is your household cavalry? That's heavy, right? That's heavy
yeah,
cavalry.
it's
Um,
heavy. Um,
you might consider having them ride over and engage the enemy's heavy cavalry. That'll keep them off of our infantry line.
well, they have to. Problem is they have to be able to get there. So
Well,
uh,
it's
when
open out on that side. It's open at the end of our line, so they should be able to circumvent the end of our line and go engage the enemy's heavy cavalry.
yeah, huh?
And
I
that at
really,
least that'll keep them busy and tied up, even if it's just a stalemate. That keeps them from being able to do anything.
yeah, I had that thought. My
Mhm.
The reason I didn't issue the order is there was a juicy target of opportunity. If I can
Yeah,
clear
yeah.
one of his phalanx formations, that just gives us better odds. The other thing
Mhm.
is I didn't want to play merry-go-round or tag with him. Uh, where we're just running around in circles. Although that does neutralize him.
Yes.
If he wants to run around and make me chase him, okay,
And think about
you're
it
not
this
doing
way:
anything.
if your household cavalry is out there just chasing around his heavy cavalry, and or if they're engaging with them, that's as far as I can see, that's all the cavalry he has left. He
Yeah,
doesn't have anything else. So then our infantry can win this fight. I mean, this part of the line, if our infantry is able to concentrate on attacking and not having to worry about their rear, they're going to roll up. They're going to beat this end of the line.
yeah,
So and that will do it. I mean, certainly if they because their only maneuver element on the field left, it appears, is their
is that
heavy
cavalry?
cavalry out there.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you tie them down, they've got nothing to maneuver with.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. That sounds like a good idea. So
That's how you deprive them of their hope, because having that unit that can move around out there is their hope. You know.
yeah. Yep, that's it. So the other thing I can do is I can send my lighter cavalry around the other way,
Hmm.
so that
Hmm.
whichever way he goes, he's caught in a pickle.
Hmm.
So now he can't. If he goes right, he's going to meet one. If he goes left, he'll meet the other. and then something's gonna hit him from behind eventually.
And then
So,
and then as a second set of orders, when you can give it, you should probably have that infantry you got way out on the left over there,
hmm
that just defeated him.
hmm
They should probably start moving onto the flank of the enemy infantry line.
well, my orders to them will be to find a target of opportunity, but again,
Mhm.
that's lower in the
Yeah,
priority
that's
list.
lower priority. Yeah.
That's extracurricular. Whereas that phalanx was the big deal because that's just juicy. It's free. It's a free phalanx.
hmm
Um, and then, yeah, I think the second order is let's bag that cavalry, and then the third might be extracurricular. And the elephants just need to kind of hang back and just be a threat.
hmm
I don't want to spend that unit if I don't need to. I
Right.
don't want
Right.
to
Yeah. I
needlessly
mean, just have
throw them in and get them
they're
killed.
yeah, they're a
A
fleeting
gamer would.
being at this. Yeah, they're a fleeting being at this point. Just
Right.
having them out there forces him to have to have units facing you.
Yeah. A
So
gamer
yeah,
will
you're.
throw everything in because, well, they're like, it's a game. It's not real
Mhm.
to them. But I
Yeah.
don't like playing gamey tactics. I like thinking, you want force preservation, I think, should always be economy of force and force preservation should always be a consideration in determining the outcome of any Kriegsspiel game.
hmm
So, and probably a lot more games, but definitely in Kriegsspiel, you need to take that into account. Did you have a reserve at the end of battle? Almost to the point that I would declare it a double loss. And there's some things we need to talk about when it comes to umpiring.
hmm
And this is becoming an increasing topic of conversation is like, how do you standardize or homogenize
hmm
umpiring and umpire quality? But I think
hmm
one of the things is we need to start judging games by at the end of the battle, did you have a reserve? You
Well,
know,
but
because people
sometimes
want to
I
do
mean,
these gamey stuff because they know that the battle's a one-off. It's a one-off open Saturday, so they'll throw
right.
everything into the middle in one big ball of anger and hope to win. Because that's what gamers do. But that's not
Yeah,
warfare.
but you also need. I mean, one of the reasons you have a reserve is to commit it at the critical moment.
Correct. Correct.
So if you commit it at the critical moment, then you don't have a reserve anymore.
Okay.
Did you lose?
Yeah.
Even though your commitment won the battle, did you lose because you don't have a reserve?
Right. Well, I mean, it's clear that we're going to have to introduce some kind of nuance to it. Um,
Yeah.
but you're right. It can't just be, well, yeah, I had one guy standing in the rear holding, the horses or something. That's my reserve.
That's right. I got Democles over here. He's holding my horse. He's my reserve.
Yeah, he's got a dagger. He's got a sharp stick. But
and half a canteen of water. He's
yeah,
good.
he's good. But no, I think we do need something like that though, because
Mm,
we can't be crowning victors who have played like they're playing Total War, you know,
mhm, mhm,
or some other computer game. We need to uh, let people know that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes because this is another thing that makes Kriegspiel different. You can lose the battle, but win the Kriegspiel
mhm,
because you were the rear guard and that was your
mhm,
scenario. It's Kobayashi Maru. There's no way you're going to survive, but
mhm.
if you tie down the enemy or extract heavy losses on the enemy, that in and of itself is a form of victory. And so
Right.
we need to.
Oh, they're pulling people up to the
All
lobby.
right, well, that's it. I think we got him. I think we got him. Why are
So
we?
either all
Oh,
those
here.
guys are dead,
Yeah,
or
yeah. Here we are.
In the middle of writing you a message. I don't know what's happening now. I'm confused.
All right, end of the battle.
Everyone's joining this chat.
Oh,
All right, welcome everyone.
Welcome.
You, I was about to say you survived, but some of you did not. So, um, well done, well played, everyone. This was a fun one. So this is the post game. We've reached a decisive conclusion, and I'm going to go over what happened and where we're at currently. And then what we like to do is kind of do a post-op. Everyone, the umpires will take turns kind of describing what they witnessed, some good things and bad things and ways to improve. And then the players will get a chance to share their experiences and what they learned and experienced. So I'm going to share my screen. This is the end state. So both sides had a double formation, which when you see the other game, you'll see they both sides had a single line formation stretching all the way across the valley. It was interesting that this game was opposite with double lines, so very deep lines, which was good. Meant the game lasted a lot longer, but that's fine. I think it was the right call for both teams. But also the middle didn't really engage for a long time. Both sides were hesitant in the middle. I'm interested to hear the reasoning for that. So it was definitely a battle of the wings. And so if we're looking north from the Egyptian point of view, the Selucids had all their elephants over here on the left with some cavalry. They had their heavy cavalry in the rear, just reserve, and then a little bit of light cavalry and Arab warband over here. The Egyptians were more even split, so they had the Greek mercenary cavalry on their left with half the elephants, and the other half the elephants with their more elite cavalry. And both sides generally advanced. The Seleucid right was a bit more aggressive and sent their elephants in early. I think this was one of the earlier errors in that the elephants charged the phalanx line rather than the cavalry or their lighter infantry. And so they did disrupt the line and do heavy damage against the phalanx, but the phalanx is pretty well suited to do damage with their long sticks. So that was probably a missed opportunity on the Seleucid side. And so the Egyptians were doing a pretty good job. The cavalry had moved on the flank and then charged in on the vulnerable infantry and were essentially routing the left flank until the heavy cavalry reserve was deployed. That changed the fate on this side, was enough to basically destroy the Egyptian left wing and their elephants and ensure this side was safe. At the very end, they're running back to rescue their rear. On the right side, the Egyptians they had the numbers advantage, they had the elephants, they had the cavalry advantage, and they used it. And so they basically swept up. They did a good job sweeping up the Seleucid left flank. The Seleucids did have a surprise ambush, which I kind of liked. They were hiding here behind the hills. Unfortunately, that was launched a little bit too late. And so by the time they arrived, the Egyptian right wing had already defeated the Seleucid left wing. And so when they arrived, the Thracian and Gaul infantry here was able to reorder, organize, and face them. And so the ambush just wasn't enough, wasn't early enough, and didn't work. I did like the idea of it. And it may have been better had it been cavalry. And also, if you had deployed your line closer to these hills to where they didn't have to run so far when they launched their ambush, that might have done better. Both sides their second line ended up turning to face the rear because as the Egyptian cavalry moved into the rear, they were looking for an opening. The Seleucids were refusing the flank and then guarding the rear so they didn't get it. So they ended up coming all the way around over here and then finding an opening here at the very end on some phalanx lines charging in. And unfortunately for the Seleucids, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. The front line had seen enough, and so we've had, at the very end here, we've had a chain route along the whole Seleucid front line. They do have their second line, so they're not completely lost, but the Egyptians are just in a much better position to keep chasing and continue fighting. We have the elite heavy cavalry coming to help out here, which it will help. Unfortunately, it wasn't fast enough to help the routing infantry. And so I think these two they're probably evenly matched. So I think they would be able to fight. It's a 50-50 toss up who would win that, but with the rest of the army routing, it's basically over for the Selucids at that point. So that's the game call. It was really enjoyable. I'm really glad. It's fun to have the Lawton Redcoats with us. You guys did really well, and had a good, I think, generally a good eye towards how to make things work. So we're gonna go first here from the umpires, and then the players. So we'll start with Swentz. Him and Sean managed the middle more, so I can't speak as much what happened in the middle.
Yeah, thanks everyone for playing. This was a lot of fun. Just seeing both team strategies unfold, it was a lot of really, like, I think, deliberate, intelligent play from everyone from what I saw. I was in charge of the IKS team mostly in terms of resolving their orders. So I had Ptolemaios, Sisibios, and Dundramekos, I think, under my control, and under my sort of
Really.
resolving. In any event, so the Egyptian Phalangites, the Makomoi, they were very disrupted early on by that initial elephant attack. Unfortunately, and I think this was just probably the only true blunder that I saw in the entire game, is that there just wasn't enough support with the elephants. The Syrian elephants, or the Indian elephants commanded by the Syrians, basically attacked. They disrupted. They caused a lot of chaos for a long time, but there just was no exploitation of that chaos. The infantry was too far back, and overall, both sides were very cautious in how they employed their infantry, not really attacking. I'm really interested to hear sort of what the thinking was there. I don't think it was a mistake necessarily, but it basically gave the battle over to the cavalry and to the elephants, and I think if the Syrians had just employed the elephants slightly better, this would have been a really, really different game, because or just not even really necessarily changed what they did with the elephants, just have some infantry behind the elephants to kind of take advantage of the holes that are opening in the Syrian line, or in the Egyptian line. Over on the other side, I had Lake here in the middle, and this was really just this was just a slugfest once it started. It was just two lines pushing pike. I thought what really ultimately was determinative here was the Egyptian line just extended slightly further out, and so as soon as the I think it was Marshall's cavalry, as soon as they swept away the lighter troops, that freed up the Egyptian mercenary phalanx to hook in and start attacking from multiple angles. But even that wasn't particularly decisive until the end. It all came down to the left flank, in my opinion, and I think very overall the Selucid use of their elite cavalry was great. You did a lot to really pull apart the Egyptian line here. I mean, everything was there. It just needed to all happen just a little bit more, like, simultaneously and sequentially, to just keep hits coming. Because I mean, that's in the end what routed the Seleucid infantry line was these Kakatori. I'm not. I think that's probably pronounced. Sorry, but the settler phalanx, breaking just under all of the pressure of all of these things happening all at once, which then caused the rest of the line to collapse. It was a great game. It was great to see all of the thought and the planning that went into it. And yeah, thanks for having me, umpire James. It was a blast.
Thank you, Swentz. All right, Sean.
Yeah, so I mostly worked with the Redcoats, and we were pretty much able to do, I think, everything that was intended, with the exception of the ambush, we already talked about. But I think that the command of the cavalry reserve was very effective. and just holding that reserve in the first place is a good idea. The use of the reserve line from the infantry was also, I think, as good as could have been done given the circumstances. But when you have to face so many threats from so many different angles, it's really, really hard. Especially you can only really give one order. I think if you had been able to micromanage more at the unit level and kind of get your guys exactly where you wanted them for the reserve, it might have been possible to hold out a little bit longer. But given that the entire line ended up collapsing anyway, I don't think it made that much of a difference. The only thing I could have maybe suggested is trying to force a little bit of asymmetry on the line, so engaging a portion of the line earlier, and then that would have kind of created an imbalance point that you could have taken advantage of. And if either side had done that, it might have been really decisive. But otherwise, I love the deployments.
All right, thank you. All right, let's hear from the two CICs, and then we'll hear from other players. So we'll start with David on the Selucid side.
Yeah, well, our plan, even though it didn't work, was basically we were had the elephants on the right to do the hard work, phalanx holding the centre, and the left with our weaker cavalry was designed. We were designed to advance slowly but on echelon, so that the elephants are going first to sort out whatever they have to deal with. The phalanx advanced so it could just fix what was basically superior numbers we believe to our front, and the left was weakish, so it would hopefully draw in an attack from them, and then we could deploy the ambush. And that did work, but obviously two things went against us. First of all was we didn't realise, I think, quite how badly the Arab warband would perform against the troops that were sent against it. Obviously, the ambush didn't really come into play the way we wished. And after that, I think once that left wing effectively collapsed, we were pretty much on the back foot. And it's just a question of whether our elite cavalry reserve could do the damage before the rest of the army collapsed, which it almost did, but not quite. So very good. It was a good game, very good game overall.
Thank you. Ptolemy?
Yeah, just to follow up on that, I think the Selucid deployment was really good, and in particular, your heavy cavalry reserve really scared me about halfway through the game because I didn't realize what it was. I was on my own left wing trying to go right, and then I saw that cavalry blob start moving, and then I dropped everything and went back left to sort that out. So I thought that was very well done. Our deployment was the way it was primarily because James told us that our elephants don't like your elephants.
Yeah.
And I think we saw them when our elephants just ran away smelling yours. So we split them hoping that you guys wouldn't split yours and that somewhere we would get to play with elephants. And it turned out that was on the right. But we didn't have any expectation until we actually saw your deployment as to whether we'd be pushing on the right or pushing on the left. But Marshall, who I'll let say his own piece later, commanding our right, did a really good job today when we first saw your deployment, identifying what he was going to have to do and doing exactly that. So thank you to Swentz for umpiring me, and big thank you to all my players, especially Achilles, who joined like last minute at 6 o'clock in the morning and may or may not have been crushed under an elephant. But at the end of the game, I was commanding 2 dead players worth of stuff, but they had set me up in a really good position. So thank you, and thank you for running it.
Thank you. All right, now we'll just go down the line of all the players in, I guess, alphabetical order. So Andromachus.
Yes, so I was in command of the Egyptian center right, almost the center left, dyslexic. I was in command of the center right, and my job was fairly simple. It was to pin the enemy in place. I knew that victory would not come in the center; it would be coming on the flanks. So I was going to be fighting a battle of attrition. It was going to be a slugfest, no matter what, on my end. And it was just fortune that turned out that, hey, my line was a little bit longer than the enemy's. So I was able to curl around the flank and get in a bit more effort that turned the tide in our favor, if not by a lot. It was still enough to carry the day. And to answer the question a little bit earlier about why I turned back was because the Selucid heavy cavalry was in the rear, and my thought was that everyone else was focused on the fight in the front, and seeing as the line in front of me was beginning to give way, I decided to pull my second line to the rear and try to protect our rear from the Seleucid cavalry, which fortunately was not needed, but I was prepared to send in what I could to protect our own line of retreat.
Thank you. All right, Chris Brown.
Yes. Yes, as a first thing, yeah, really enjoyable game. And I think to just to echo what our team said, our whole plan was to kind of push forward with all the elephants en masse. If you had your cavalry superiority in front of it, throw them away and then get that heavy cavalry to kind of punch through the gap. But I think what stymied us was that really nice flank cavalry attack that came all the way around the flank. It forced my medium infantry to halt and have to kind of pin myself to that flank to kind of stop that cavalry from coming in the rear of us, rather than be able to push up with the elephants. Which meant, of course, although we kind of did what we wanted at the end with smash through the elephant gap with the heavy cavalry, you were right, there was no additional support there to kind of consolidate on that win. But I thought that was a very good tactic by the there. So yeah, but after that, obviously the rest of my whole flank collapsed, and I just went and joined the heavy cavalry for. But yeah, but apart from that, I echo everything else everyone else said. This was a
Thank you.
game.
Thank you, Chris. Glad you enjoyed it. Dionysius.
Yeah.
Oh, is the battle over? The battle ended. Do I get to rule Egypt now? Is it my turn to rule Egypt, or that's next year? All right, sorry. Um,
You are the hero.
I have recorded this live streams, which includes my thoughts and personal conversations between myself and Achilles. I'll post that to YouTube in a little while today so that you folks can kind of tap into what was going through my head the whole way. For me, the big thing was to be dynamic. I wanted to force the enemy to respond to me, especially when I saw that they weren't moving on the first turn. I'm like, oh, we're the ones moving. We are in the position of dynamism. We have the initiative here. And let's start doing things that force them to react to us. My interest was to get the elephants to be the arm of decision, so I screened them with the cavalry. And as we got closer, I realized that I had overwhelming superiority on the right in terms of quantity and quality. My troops were better than the Arab war band. My cavalry outnumbered the enemy cavalry. And then I had the elephants, which had no counter that I was aware of. So once we got close, it was very simple: go cavalry, go infantry. Now elephants swing around to the rear. I don't know that my elephants even killed anything, or that they even really got involved, because we just started steamrolling. Um, and then at one point, I found an enemy commander, and I gave the order to ride forward and kill him. And I apologized to whomever I did that to, because it's not particularly sporting, but it would be the right thing to do in that situation, because what I'm trying to do is win the battle, and I'm going to do that by breaking enemy morale, and I'll do that by eliminating enemy leaders. So it wasn't that I was on a headhunting mission, but I was just trying to end it. And then, of course, after that, it was just find an opening where there are no pointy boys pointing at us. And if you could find an opening, get in there and do ancient warfare things. and I guess it kind of worked out. So um, I feel good about my first Kriegsspiel win in 15 years. Thank you.
All right, Echocrates.
Hey, yeah, I was out on the left wing of the Egyptian side. I was just glad not to be totally overrun in the beginning, but I guess by getting out a little further on the flank, we were able to kind of hold things down until the enemy heavy cavalry showed up, which turned things around in their favor on the left. And then I got to die leading the cavalry charge, so that's good. Yeah, it went well. I had a great time playing, and appreciate you guys umpiring. It was a fun game.
Thank you. Gary.
I sat there and then got steamrolled by cavalry and elephants.
Not a fun position, no.
And assassinated, apparently. So, not much more to say apart from I'll kind of come back and haunt those ambush troops because they were freaking useless. Yeah,
Gary,
it was. Yes.
Gary, were you the guy I killed?
Yes, I don't take it personally. I did decide to go and try and kill an elephant in person as my Arabs were proving useless.
He successfully killed an elephant.
I will offer libations in your honor, sir. Thank you for taking it in good sport. Thank you.
Oh, I'm already several libations in. I wouldn't worry on that score.
All right. Two more. Simon.
Yeah, hi. I was the Selucid center. So first of all, I just wanted to say this was my first ever Kriegsspiel game. Really enjoyed it. Thank you to all of the umpires and everyone that set it up and ran it. It was a great experience. Thank you. We had a kind of a simple plan, which was hold with the left, feint with the center, and punch with the right. I mean, that was it, I think, in a nutshell. The thing that threw me was experiencing the width of the battlefield. So we were getting stuff coming round on both of our flanks, which definitely threw me. I was reasonably happy with what was happening in the centre right until the end, where I was just having to shuffle my second row of infantry around and around, trying to avoid an opportunity for the enemy cavalry to charge. But I think I just got stretched a bit too thin. So it's a great game, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone involved.
Thank you, Simon. So Sibius.
Yes, sir. I had a great time. I've always wanted to play in one of your first-person view games. This is my first opportunity to do that, so I really enjoyed that. Um, I was over on the center left of the Egyptian line with commanding the phalanxes there, and I think, as was mentioned earlier, the key thing on that side was we got that big elephant charge very early on, and the key thing to it was that it was unsupported. I mean, combined arms works in every era, right? Um, because it was unsupported, even though it disrupted us, um, we were able to stand, withstand it, and then start killing those elephants. And and once that happened, I think that really decided the situation over there because it kind of freed up everything else. And anyway, yeah, the primary thing was if it had been supported, it probably, yeah, it would have been a very different fight over there. Um, and for myself personally, I also killed an elephant. Unfortunately, it fell on me and I died. So so I expect a really lovely pyre and many lamentations at my great funeral.
Thank you. Well, big thank you to both teams. Redcoats, you're welcome to play Kriegsspiel with us anytime. You're out of the tournament, but we'd love to have you any other time. It was good fun. I've got to drop. I've got to run elsewhere, but you're welcome to hang out here and keep talking. And best of luck to the Kriegsspiel Society as they continue on in the tournament.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
James.
Yeah,
Yes.
cheers, guys.
Thank you.
GG
Yeah.
Redcoats.
Have a good evening or morning, wherever you are.
You too.
Yeah.